Why didn't you tell me? If I had known, I would have. Who do you think you are? I don't care about an old man turning 60. How can anyone make good decisions at that age? What a joke. I've only had feelings for you since we got married, but now, I don't feel anything anymore. I'm Nancy, my husband, Max, and I raised 2 kids together. Recently, our youngest turned 18. Raising kids for over 20 years wasn't easy, but having them helped me stay strong. I'm really thankful for their support. Max supported our kids too, and for that, I thought he was a good husband, until one day, everything changed. I came home early from work one afternoon and heard Max and our son, Aaron, talking and laughing inside. Hey, now that I'm 20, I think we can start what we planned. Yeah, I've been thinking the same thing. We're father and son, after all. When should we tell her? I'll bring it up this weekend. I'm so excited. I wonder what she'll do. She'll probably cry and beg me to stop. When will Abby be my new mom? She's ready whenever. Then I'll just divorce her. They were laughing, not realizing I was standing right outside the door, listening. I was shocked. I thought our family was happy, but they were talking about me like I wasn't even there, planning a divorce and talking about a woman named Abby. Was she Max's mistress? How long had they been planning this? I didn't know how to react. My phone had somehow started recording their conversation. I quietly left the house. Outside, I saw a mother with a small child. It made me feel so sad. Did Aaron hate me too? If it was just Max, I could handle it, but now my own son was part of this plan, and he was so casually talking about Abby, Max's mistress. I couldn't help but wonder how many times they had all met without me knowing. I called my daughter, Melanie, right away, desperate for some comfort. The phone rang twice before she answered. Hi, Melanie, are you okay? What's wrong, Mom? Your voice sounds weird. I'm just at the usual cafe near our house. Okay, I'll be right there. Melanie has always been independent, even as a child. She never asked for money when she went to college, and now that she's working, she takes care of herself. She rushed to meet me at the cafe, just like always. Mom, what's going on? I hesitated, not sure whether to tell her the truth. Could this have something to do with Dad? I thought so. I wasn't ready to explain everything, so I asked her something instead. Is there anything I've done wrong as a mom? Anything you don't like? Why are you asking that, Mom? I just thought, now that Aaron's an adult and I can focus on myself, maybe I should look at my own life. Melanie stared at me, confused. Mom, there's nothing wrong. I'm really grateful for you. You and Dad worked hard, but it was mostly you, Mom, who did everything for me and Aaron. Really? What about your dad? He worked too. Well, he worked, but that's just what he was supposed to do. You did everything else. Melanie was right. Max had never really helped with family life, other than going to work. She had pointed out how little he had participated in raising us. What's going on with you and Dad? Tell me everything. I'm not a kid anymore, and maybe I can help. Melanie wanted to know what was going on with Max and Aaron. I'm in shock, I said. Yeah, me too. Well, what are you going to do about it? I guess I'll have to get a divorce. Yeah, I think that's the best option. Let me hear the recording. I didn't want to, but Melanie insisted, so I played the recording for her. I can't forgive them for this. Mom, we need more proof. A recording alone isn't enough. I'll ask a friend to help us. For now, stay at my place tonight, okay? The next day, Melanie had the day off, so she went out in the morning. I went to work, but later that day, she called me. Mom, let's meet up after work and go to the detective agency. Okay, thank you, and don't worry, I found a lawyer. Got it, thanks again. Melanie quickly made sure everything was set up for the divorce. After work, I met her at the detective agency. Okay, you'll have 3 days to get the evidence, the detective said. Got it. From what I hear in this recording, your husband has no idea how serious this is, but are you ready for whatever happens next? Yes, divorce is the only choice. I just want it to go as smoothly as possible. Understood, I'll do my job. The detective said it would take 4 days to gather everything, but I was called back in 2 days. 1 day of spying was enough to get everything we need, he said with a sly smile. Okay, thank you. I looked at the evidence the detective gathered. Max wasn't even trying to hide his affair. There were pictures of him walking around with his mistress, holding hands. Some of the photos were shocking, but they showed the truth. I took the evidence to the lawyer I had an appointment with. The female lawyer told me she had been through a similar experience. Her husband had also betrayed her, just like Max had betrayed me. She laughed in disbelief when she saw the evidence, saying it was just as bad as it seemed. She assured me that I would not only get alimony but also a severe punishment for Max. It was a busy and overwhelming week. During this time, I got a large alimony payment and finalized the divorce. Melanie and I went to my in-laws' house to show them the truth. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel sad. My in-laws had always been kind to me, but they needed to see all the evidence. My father-in-law, Albert, was really angry, and my mother-in-law, Sarah, was completely shocked. Well, of course, this is how it would be. Nancy, I never thought our foolish son would do something like this at his age. I'm so sorry, I can't believe he's my son. Disgusting. Thank you for your time today. With this evidence, I've decided to divorce him. I just wanted to let you know. I agree, no wonder you're divorcing him. Grandpa, it's not just him, Aaron is just as bad. Melanie played the recording of Max and Aaron to my in-laws, and they were both stunned. After Aaron said he wanted to go to graduate school, I'm not going to support someone who disrespects others like this, Albert said. Sarah nodded in agreement. Nancy, if you divorce him, come visit us whenever you can. You're like a daughter to us now. Don't worry, Max will never step foot in this house again. Thank you. You and Albert are like real family to me. I couldn't hold back my tears. My in-laws had always been so kind to me, and I loved them deeply. Knowing they would disown their own son to support me made me feel better, even though I knew this meant I wouldn't see them as often once I divorced Max. The next day, I confronted Max and Aaron. I went home with Melanie and my lawyer. Max hadn't contacted me even once in the 4 days I was gone, which told me everything I needed to know about how he felt. Who's here? Max asked when we arrived. This is Nancy's lawyer. Her name is Natalie. Her lawyer? You're here for the divorce, huh? Yeah, I want a divorce, but I'll take whatever comes from it. Aaron was acting cocky, as usual. This is perfect, you'll get your quick divorce. Alimony, right? You can pay for that, can't you, Dad? Max yelled as if Aaron's comment pushed him over the edge. Yeah, I suppose so. At least it saves me from explaining everything to her. Right, too bad Abby isn't here though. Wait, how do you know about Abby? I know, I even went to the detective agency. It seems you two were seeing each other every day. That makes sense if she's just one of your business partners. You've been together all this time, both in business and personally. Oh, I see, so you know about Abby. Well, since you know everything, it's simple. I don't want a mother like you. You're just a plain, old woman. I want a young, beautiful mother like Abby. Are you serious? Do you really not understand who helped you get here? Huh? It was Dad, obviously. Mom did all the hard work, running the house and doing everything else. Melanie, how can you talk about your father like that? Max shouted. Huh? I don't even see you as my parents anymore. Besides, Aaron called Mom that person too. Why is it okay for him but not for me? I've always hated how you always disagreed with everything. And how can I respect you as a parent when you're chasing after a woman 20 years younger than you? If you were single, I wouldn't care, but you have a family. That's creepy. Max couldn't say anything back to Melanie since she was right. Dad, enough. Let's get him out of here and invite Abby over, Melanie said. Right, let's sign the divorce papers. I took out the divorce papers I had prepared and handed them to Max. He seemed surprised, but Aaron pushed him to sign them. We're asking for $140,000 in alimony and property division. The joint property is worth $50,000, and the alimony is $40,000. Based on your income, this is reasonable. Just pay it, Dad. Abby will take care of it. Okay. Max transferred the $140,000, and I filed the divorce papers with the government office. We didn't need to use the evidence from the detective agency in the end. I was just glad we were able to get the divorce on our own terms. Hey, Mom, can you give me the data? Okay, but what are you planning to do with it? Don't worry, I won't use it for anything bad. I decided to let Melanie use the data, even though I had no idea what she was up to. A week later, I started receiving furious phone calls from Max. After work, I answered one of his calls, and he sounded livid. What does this mean? What are you talking about? You knew everything, didn't you? About what? About Abby. Oh, yes, but which part are you referring to? The part where you and your son, Aaron, are both dating Abby? Or the part where Abby, the supposed CEO's daughter, is a lie? Max fell silent. It's really weird and disgusting that a father and son are both dating the same woman. Shut up, I got fired from my father's company. Well, of course, it's all your fault, and I can't even get in touch with Abby now. She got fired too, you know. Well, of course, she was involved with a married man while working, and she even embezzled money from the company. Why didn't you tell me? If I'd known, I would've. Who do you think you are? You're just some old man about to turn 60, and you can't even make a decent decision. What a shame. I don't feel anything for you anymore. I haven't since we got married. I ended the call and blocked Max's contact, but Aaron kept calling me nonstop that day too. Hi, Mom, Grandpa won't help me with my tuition fees. You deserve it. Ask your father. He gave all his money to Abby, now I can't even reach her. I couldn't help but laugh. Well, she's upset about the money she embezzled. She only sees her father as a money tree. You probably gave all the money you made from your part-time job to her too, right? You're such a jerk, Aaron, laughing while your own kid is in trouble. Yes, I'm a jerk, and I take half the blame for how you turned out, but I did you a favor by divorcing your father. Now pay for your tuition. If you're an adult, that's your responsibility. Yeah, it's my responsibility, but I'm your mother, and I'm not giving you any money. I hung up, but I didn't block Aaron's contact. I hoped that one day, after he reflected on everything, we might talk again. Later, I found out that Aaron had gotten a job and seemed to have left his father. My parents-in-law informed me that Max was missing. He had often gone to their house to ask for money, but now he had disappeared. I'm almost 60, and I want to live a healthy life from now on. Plus, my grandchild is on the way. My second life is just beginning. 20 years younger? Wow, the husband must be the real challenger. I can't believe he and his son were both seeing the same woman at the same time. They've both been caught by a gold digger. I hope he truly reflects on his actions, and the money they took from him was supposed to be for his tuition. Thanks for watching until the end. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.
The text message from Mom lit up my phone screen at exactly 2:47 a.m. Come home immediately. Your sister needs you. I stared at those words until they burned into my retinas, my hands shaking with a familiar mixture of rage and resignation. My name is Adeline, and I've spent 25 years being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who always comes running when called. Tonight was supposed to be different. Tonight, I was celebrating landing my dream job, senior marketing director at one of New York's top agencies. Don't let her ruin this for you, Natasha said, sliding another glass of champagne across the table. We were the last ones left at the bar, our earlier celebration with colleagues having dwindled down to just us two. You've worked too hard for this. I took a long sip, letting the bubbles fizz against my tongue. You don't understand. Willow's probably having another crisis. Last time, it was because she couldn't decide which luxury apartment to rent with Dad's money. Before that, it was because her boyfriend dumped her for being too high maintenance. And your mother expects you to drop everything and fix it. Natasha's voice dripped with disapproval. That's what I do. That's what I've always done. I pulled up my mother's contact information, thumb hovering over the call button. Don't. Natasha grabbed my phone. At least wait until morning. But I knew better. The calls would keep coming, and Mom's voice would get increasingly desperate until I gave in. I dialed her number. Finally, Mom's voice crackled through the speaker. Where have you been? Your sister's company is downsizing, and she might lose her entry-level position. She's devastated. I pressed my fingers against my temple. Mom, it's the middle of the night. What do you expect me to do about it right now? You need to come home and help her find a new job. And while you're at it, she needs help with her apartment hunting. The lease is up next month, and you know how overwhelmed she gets with paperwork. Mom, I can't. I just accepted a position in New York. I start in 3 weeks. The silence on the other end was deafening. When she spoke again, her voice was ice cold. You're choosing a job over your family? It's not just a job, Mom. It's my career, my future. I've worked years for this opportunity. Your sister needs you here. Family comes first, Adeline. Always. She paused, and I could practically see her pursing her lips in disappointment. Besides, there are plenty of marketing jobs in Chicago. You can find something local. I caught Natasha's eye across the table. She was shaking her head vigorously. No, Mum. I'm not coming back. Not this time. Then you leave me no choice. Mum's voice hardened. Either you come home and help your sister, or you can consider yourself no longer part of this family. The words hit me like a physical blow. Are you seriously giving me an ultimatum? I'm being realistic. Your father and I have supported you through college, helped you with your first apartment, and this is how you repay us. By abandoning your sister when she needs you most. I wanted to scream, to remind her that I'd worked 3 jobs through college while Willow got a free ride, that I'd paid back every penny they'd helped me with, while my sister still lived off their credit cards at 22. Instead, I said quietly, I'll think about it, and hung up. Natasha reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You know what you have to do, right? I nodded slowly, a plan forming in my mind. I'm not going back, but I'm also not going to fight about it. What do you mean? I pulled out my laptop, the champagne forgotten. I'm booking a one-way ticket to New York for tomorrow. No arguments, no dramatic showdown. I'll leave them a letter explaining everything. Holy shit, Natasha whispered. You're really doing it. Watch me. My fingers flew across the keyboard as I booked the flight. 25 years of being the family doormat ends tonight. As I confirmed the purchase, my phone buzzed again. A text from Willow. Addie, please come home. I don't know what I'll do without you. For the first time in my life, I didn't respond. Instead, I opened a new document and began typing. Dear Mom, Dad, and Willow. The words flowed easily now. Years of suppressed feelings finally finding their way onto the page. Tomorrow, they'd wake up to find me gone. Tomorrow, they'd finally have to face the consequences of their actions. Tomorrow, my new life would begin. But tonight, I had a letter to write. The sun hadn't risen yet when I finished the letter. My hands were trembling as I sealed the envelope, my entire life's frustrations condensed into 3 pages of brutal honesty. Read it, I told Natasha, who'd stayed with me through the night. Tell me if it's too harsh. She unfolded the pages and began reading aloud. Dear Mom, Dad, and Willow, by the time you read this, I'll be on my way to New York. I know this isn't how you wanted things to go, but I can't keep setting myself on fire to keep others warm. Mom, you've always said family comes first, but you never meant the whole family, just Willow. When I worked 3 jobs in college, you called me selfish for not having time to help her with her homework. When I got my first promotion, you dismissed it because Willow was having boy troubles that apparently needed my immediate attention. Dad, your silence has been just as damaging as Mom's demands. You watched me struggle, watched me sacrifice everything for Willow, and never once stood up for me. Your passive acceptance of this dynamic made you complicit. And Willow, I love you, but you're 22 years old. It's time to grow up. Your problems aren't emergencies that require everyone else to drop their lives. Your inability to handle basic adult responsibilities isn't cute anymore. It's exhausting. I'm not doing this to hurt any of you. I'm doing this because for the first time in my life, I'm choosing myself. I've accepted the position in New York. I've signed a lease on an apartment. I'm starting fresh. Don't try to guilt me into coming back. Don't try to manipulate me with threats of cutting me off. I've been independent since I was 18. Nothing will change except that I'll finally be free to live my own life. If you want to have a relationship with me moving forward, it needs to be on equal terms. No more expectations that I'll drop everything for Willow. No more guilt trips. No more ultimatums. I hope someday you'll understand. Love, Adeline. Natasha looked up from the letter, her eyes wide. Holy shit, Adeline. This is perfect. I zipped up my suitcase, already packed with the essentials. Everything else would be shipped later. You don't think it's too much? It's exactly enough. She helped me carry my bags to her car. Are you sure you don't want me to drive you to the airport? No, I'll take an Uber. You've done more than enough staying up with me all night. The drive to my parents' house was surreal in the pre-dawn darkness. Natasha pulled up a block away, keeping the headlights off. I slipped out with the letter in hand. Our family home looked peaceful, almost mockingly so. The garden Mom meticulously maintained, the porch swing where Willow spent hours on her phone, Dad's perfectly washed car in the driveway, everything exactly as it had always been. I placed the letter on the kitchen counter where Mum would find it during her morning coffee routine. My hand lingered on the envelope for a moment before I forced myself to turn away. My phone vibrated. Another text from Willow. "Addie? Why aren't you answering? Mum's really upset." I switched off my phone. The Uber was waiting when I returned to Natasha's car. She hugged me tight, whispering, "You're doing the right thing. Call me when you land." At the airport, everything moved in a blur. Security, coffee, waiting at the gate. It wasn't until I was buckled into my seat that reality hit me full force. "Would you like something to drink?" The flight attendant's voice snapped me back to the present. "Water, please." My voice sounded strange to my own ears. As the plane took off, I imagined Mum finding the letter. She'd be angry first, then hurt, then would immediately call Willow to comfort her. Dad would read it silently, perhaps feeling a twinge of guilt, but ultimately deferring to Mum's reaction. And Willow. I pictured her face crumpling as she realized her safety net was gone. Part of me ached for her, but a stronger part felt an overwhelming sense of relief. The city disappeared beneath the clouds, and with it, 25 years of being everyone's emotional support system. My phone stayed off in my bag, collecting missed calls and angry texts I wasn't ready to face. "First time going to New York?" the elderly woman next to me asked kindly. "No," I replied, managing a small smile. "But it is my first time going there to stay." As the sun finally broke over the horizon, painting the clouds in brilliant oranges and pinks, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Hope. Whatever happened next, whatever storm I'd just unleashed, at least I was finally steering my own ship. The letter was written. The die was cast. There was no going back now. New York hit me like a wall of sound and color. 3 weeks into my new life, and I still couldn't believe I'd actually done it. My tiny studio apartment in Brooklyn was a far cry from my spacious room back home, but every square inch was mine. Earned with my own money, decorated to my own taste, and blessedly free of family drama. "Adeline?" Miguel, my new boss, poked his head into my office. "Got a minute?" I quickly minimized my email. 37 unread messages from Mum, 12 from Dad, and 63 from Willow. Of course, Miguel's office had a view of Manhattan that still took my breath away. He gestured for me to sit. "The Johnson campaign presentation was fantastic. The client loved your fresh perspective." "Thank you, But," he held up a hand, "you seem distracted. Everything okay?" I hesitated. Miguel had been nothing but supportive since I'd started, but I kept my personal life private at work. "Just adjusting to the city." "And avoiding calls from Chicago?" He smiled knowingly. "Your phone's been buzzing through meetings all week." "Is it that obvious?" "Only to someone who did the same thing 20 years ago." He leaned back in his chair. "Left Puerto Rico against my family's wishes. They didn't speak to me for 2 years." "How did you handle it?" "By remembering why I left. Speaking of which," he slid a file across his desk. "We're pitching to Nike next week. Want to lead?" My heart jumped. "Are you serious? That's huge." "You've earned it. Just..." He gestured at my phone, which was buzzing again. "Deal with whatever that is. Clear your head." Back in my office, I finally turned on my phone's sound. Immediately, a voicemail from Willow played. "Addie, please." Her voice was thick with tears. "I lost my job. They said I missed too many deadlines. Mom's making me move back home, but I can't. I can't go backward like this. I need your help. Please call me back." I pressed delete, but my hand was shaking. Another voicemail started. "Adeline Gibson." Mum's voice was sharp. "Your sister is falling apart, and you're playing career woman in New York. How dare you abandon your family like this? That letter was cruel and selfish. Call me back immediately. Delete. My phone rang. Natasha's face popped up on screen. Finally, a call I wanted to take. Your sister just showed up at my apartment, she said without preamble. What? Why? Looking for you, obviously. She's a mess, Adeline. Mascara everywhere, wearing pajama pants in public. She got fired for real this time. I sank into my chair. Not my problem anymore. I know, but... Natasha hesitated. She said she's been having panic attacks. Maybe we were too harsh. I wrote that letter alone. You know what I mean. I encouraged you, because you've watched me put my life on hold for them for years. I was almost shouting now. Did she mention why she got fired? The missed deadlines? The constant drama? No, but... Then let me tell you what happened. She spent more time on Instagram than working. She called in sick whenever she had a bad date. She expected everyone else to cover for her, just like she expected me to fix everything else in her life. A knock at my door made me jump. Miguel stood there, concern etched on his face. I lowered my voice. I have to go, Natasha. Just don't let her guilt you into giving her my address. What about your dad? She asked quickly. He's been asking about you too. Dad had 25 years to stand up for me. His guilt is not my responsibility either. I hung up and turned to Miguel. I'm sorry about that. He sat down across from me. You know, when I left home, I thought I was just running away. Took me years to realize I was actually running towards something better. Did your family ever understand? Eventually, but only after I stopped trying to make them understand. He tapped the Nike file. Sometimes the best revenge is success. My phone buzzed again. A text from Willow. Found out you're working at Marshall and Brooks. Guess family means nothing compared to a corner office, huh? I showed Miguel the message. She's trying to track me down. Want my advice? Focus on the Nike pitch. Pour everything into it. Success is the best boundary. It shows them you're thriving without them. I straightened my spine. You're right. Can I see the brief again? As I immersed myself in work, my phone kept buzzing with messages from home. But for the first time, the guilt was overshadowed by something stronger. Determination. Let them panic. Let them feel what it's like to handle their own problems. I had a presentation to nail. The Nike pitch was a success, but I barely had time to celebrate before Natasha's urgent call came through. Your mum showed up at my workplace today, she said, her voice tight with anxiety. She's getting desperate, Adeline. I was walking home from the subway, the city's evening buzz surrounding me. What did she want? What do you think? She's trying to guilt me into revealing your address. But that's not the worst part. Natasha paused. Willow's really spiraling. She totaled her car last week. I stopped walking. What? Was she hurt? No, just her pride. And Dad's credit card. She was texting while driving. But here's the thing. Your parents refused to buy her a new one. Seriously? I leaned against a building, processing this. Mom and Dad actually said no to Willow. Apparently, they can't afford it. Your dad's business isn't doing well, and with Willow moving back home... My phone beeped. Another incoming call. Mom. I have to go, Natasha. Thanks for letting me know. I answered Mom's call, bracing myself. Hello? Finally. Her voice was different, less commanding, more strained. Adeline, we need to talk about what you've done to this family. What I've done? I laughed incredulously. I made a career choice, Mom. I'm not the one who gave ultimatums. Your sister is falling apart. She's had to move back home, she can't find a job, and now she's having anxiety attacks. Is that what you wanted? I clutched my phone tighter. What I wanted was to live my own life without being Willow's permanent backup plan. She's your sister, and I'm your daughter. My voice echoed off the buildings, turning heads of passing strangers. But you never worried about my anxiety, did you? When I was working 3 jobs in college, when I had to cancel my own plans constantly to rescue Willow. A long silence followed. When Mum spoke again, her voice was quieter. We need you to come home, just for a little while. Help her get back on her feet. No, Adeline, please, your father's business is struggling. We can't support her like we used to. So now that you can't enable her anymore, you want me to step in? I started walking again, faster now. That's not happening, Mum. You're being selfish. No, I'm being successful. I just landed the biggest account of my career. I have my own place, my own life. For the first time, I'm putting myself first, and it's working. Another silence. Then, your father wants to speak with you. Dad's voice came through, hesitant as always. Princess, we miss you. My steps faltered. Dad hadn't called me princess since I was little. Dad, I know we messed up. I know I should have done more, said more. Then why didn't you? It was easier not to rock the boat, but seeing what it's done to you, to all of us. He sighed heavily. Willow needs to learn to stand on her own feet. We see that now, but she doesn't know how. That's not my responsibility. No, it's ours. We failed both of you in different ways. His voice cracked. Just don't cut us off completely. Please. I reached my apartment building, fumbling for my keys. I need time, Dad. Space to build my own life without feeling guilty about it. I understand. But Adeline. Yes? I'm proud of you. For being strong enough to leave. For succeeding. I should have said that years ago. Tears pricked at my eyes. Thanks, Dad. After hanging up, I sat on my building stoop, letting the city noise wash over me. My phone buzzed with a text from Willow. Everyone's mad at me, and it's all your fault. I hate you. Minutes later, another. I'm sorry, I don't hate you. I just don't know how to do this without you. I started typing, deleted it, started again. Finally, you'll figure it out. You're stronger than you think. Then I turned off my phone and went upstairs to my apartment. On my desk, the Nike contract sat waiting for my signature, my first major client as lead director. Next to it was a framed photo Natasha had taken the night before I left, my face glowing with determination and champagne. That girl in the photo had been terrified but did it anyway. She deserved my focus now, not the endless drama back home. My laptop pinged with an email from Miguel. Nike loves your ideas. Dinner tomorrow to celebrate. I smiled and replied, yes. Let Willow figure out her own life for once. Let Mom and Dad deal with the consequences of their choices. I had a celebration to plan. The knock on my apartment door came at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. I wasn't expecting anyone, and my heart nearly stopped when I looked through the peephole. Willow stood there, mascara streaked down her face, clutching a designer suitcase that probably cost more than my rent. I know you're in there, she called out. Your light's on. I took a deep breath and opened the door. How did you find my address? I called every real estate agent in Brooklyn until I found one who remembered you. She pushed past me into the apartment. Nice place. Kind of small, though. What are you doing here, Willow? She dropped her suitcase with a thud. Mom and Dad are being impossible. They've frozen my credit cards. They're making me apply for jobs. And Dad actually suggested I take a barista position. Me, a barista! I crossed my arms. The horror. Don't be sarcastic. This is serious. She collapsed onto my couch. I thought maybe I could stay with you for a while. Just until I figure things out. Absolutely not. Come on, Addie, we're sisters. Yes, we are. Which is exactly why you can't stay here. I remained standing, maintaining distance. This is what you always do, Willow. You create chaos, then expect everyone else to fix it. That's not fair. No? What about my college graduation? You had a crisis because your boyfriend didn't like your dress, and Mom made me skip the ceremony to take you shopping. I was young then. You were 19. I worked my ass off for that degree, and I didn't even get to walk across the stage because you needed attention. Willow's lower lip trembled. Why are you being so mean? I'm not being mean, I'm being honest. I sat in the chair opposite her. Do you know what I was doing when Mom called that night, demanding I come home to help you? She shook her head. I was celebrating landing this job. the biggest opportunity of my career, and Mum expected me to give it up because you might have to face consequences for once in your life. I didn't ask her to do that. No, you never explicitly ask, Willow. You just cry and panic until someone fixes everything for you. She stood up abruptly, pacing my small living room. So, what am I supposed to do? Live with Mom and Dad forever? Work as a barista? You're supposed to grow up. Get a job, any job. Learn to manage your money. Stop expecting other people to solve your problems. Easy for you to say. You've always been the perfect one, the responsible one. Because I had to be. My voice rose. Do you think I wanted to work 3 jobs in college? To miss out on parties and dating because I was too busy being your backup plan? Willow stopped pacing, her face crumpling. I didn't realize. No, you didn't. Because you never had to think about anyone but yourself. My phone buzzed. A text from Miguel about tomorrow's meeting. The real world, my new life, calling. You need to leave, I said firmly. Go home, Willow. Face your problems head on for once. Mum was right, she whispered. You've changed. You're cold now. No, I'm just done being everyone's safety net. I walked to the door and opened it. You can stay in a hotel tonight if you want, but you're not staying here. She grabbed her suitcase, tears flowing freely now. I thought you loved me. I do love you. That's why I'm not enabling you anymore. At the door, she turned back. What if I can't do it? What if I fail? Then you'll learn from it and try again. That's what adults do. After she left, I sat on my couch, shaking. My phone showed 3 missed calls from Mom already. Willow had obviously called her. I texted Natasha. Willow just showed up at my apartment. She replied immediately. Holy shit, you okay? Yeah, sent her away. Feel like a monster. You're not a monster. You're teaching her the lesson your parents never did. I looked around my apartment, small but mine, paid for with my own money, decorated with my own taste. On my desk, the Nike contract sat next to a stack of other projects. My new life, built on my own terms. My phone rang again. Mom. This time, I turned it off completely. Tomorrow, I had a meeting to prepare for. Tomorrow, I would continue building my career, my independence, my future. And Willow? For the first time in her life, she would have to build her own future too. Maybe that was the greatest gift I could give her, even if she couldn't see it yet. 2 months after Willow's surprise visit, Natasha's weekly update call brought unexpected news. Your sister got a job, she said, the surprise evident in her voice. I nearly dropped my coffee. What kind of job? Receptionist at a dental office. And get this, she's been there for 3 weeks already. I sat down at my kitchen counter. You're kidding. Nope, your mom's been complaining to everyone that it's beneath Willow, but your sister's actually showing up every day. On time. Wow, I struggled to process this information. How do you know all this? I ran into her at Starbucks. She was on her lunch break, wearing scrubs and everything. She seemed different, more grounded. My phone beeped with another call. Miguel. I have to go, Natasha. Work call. Adeline. Miguel's voice was serious. Can you come to the office? Now? 20 minutes later, I sat in his office staring at him in disbelief. Paris? The Nike campaign was so successful, they want us to handle their European launch. 3 months in Paris leading the team. He leaned forward. It's a huge opportunity. When? Next week. I know it's sudden, but... My phone lit up with a text from Dad. Please call. Emergency. I ignored it. I'll do it. You sure? It's a big move, even temporarily. Another text from Dad. It's about my health. Need to talk. My hand froze over the phone. Miguel noticed. Everything okay? I don't know. Can I have an hour? Outside Miguel's office, I called Dad. Princess, his voice was weak. I had a heart attack yesterday. The world tilted sideways. What? Why didn't anyone call me sooner? Your mother wanted to, but I asked her to wait until I could talk to you myself. He paused for breath. It was a mild one. I'm okay. But there's more. What do you mean? The business. I've been struggling for months. The stress. Well, the doctors say I need to step back. Dad. Willow's been amazing, actually. He gave a weak laugh. She's been helping with paperwork, learning the business basics. She wants to try running things while I recover. I sat down hard on a nearby chair. Willow, running the business. She's changed, Adeline. This wake-up call. Losing you. It forced her to grow up. Another pause. Your mother's struggling to accept it, but Willow's really stepping up. My throat tightened. Do you need me to come home? No, Princess. That's why I waited to call. I didn't want you dropping everything and rushing back. We're managing. He coughed slightly. Willow insisted on handling things herself. Said it was time she took responsibility. I wiped away unexpected tears. Who are you, and what have you done with my family? He chuckled, then grew serious. We failed you for so long, Adeline, letting you carry everything, making you responsible for everyone else's happiness. I see that now. Dad, no, let me finish. You're leaving. It forced us all to change. Your mother's still adjusting, but she's trying. And Willow, he sounded proud. She's becoming the person she could have been all along if we hadn't babied her so much. Miguel appeared in the doorway, tapping his watch. Dad, I have to go. I'm in the middle of something at work. But I'll call tonight, okay? Of course. Go be successful. We're okay here. I walked back into Miguel's office, my mind spinning. Everything all right? He asked. My dad had a heart attack. Jesus. Look, forget Paris. Family comes first. No. I straightened up. My sister's handling it, and for the first time in my life, I actually believe she can. You sure? I thought about Willow and Scrubs, showing up to work every day. Willow learning the family business. Willow finally growing up. Yes, I'm sure. I picked up the Paris contract. Where do I sign? That night, I called Natasha to tell her about Paris. She squealed with excitement, then turned serious. Your mum called me today, about your dad. I know about the heart attack. No, not that. She wanted me to tell you she's sorry. Actually used those words. I sat in silence, letting that sink in. She said she's been seeing a therapist, working on her control issues. Natasha paused. People can change, Adeline. Yeah, I said softly, looking at my packed suitcase for Paris. I'm starting to believe that. My phone buzzed with a text from Willow. Heard about Paris. Congratulations, I mean it. For the first time since I'd left, I felt something shift. Not forgiveness exactly, but possibility. Maybe we all needed to find our own paths to grow up. Paris was everything I'd dreamed of and more. But Dad's second heart attack brought me home after just 6 weeks. Standing outside his hospital room, I barely recognized my sister in her business attire, typing furiously on her laptop. The insurance company's being difficult, Willow said without looking up, but I've got it handled. When was the last time you slept? She finally met my eyes, dark circles evident under her makeup. Tuesday, maybe. I'm trying to run the business, deal with insurance, and coordinate with Dad's doctors. She's not coping well. Where is she? Cafeteria. She stress bakes now. The nurses are getting tired of her muffins. I sat beside her. How bad is it? The doctors say he needs bypass surgery. Triple bypass. Her voice cracked slightly. The business is struggling, and our insurance has a massive deductible. I've been going through the books, trying to figure something out. I can help with the medical bills, I offered. No. Willow's response was immediate. You've got your life in Paris. I've got this. Willow, I mean it, Addie. I'm not that helpless girl anymore. She showed me her laptop screen. Look, I've already restructured some of Dad's business loans. Found ways to cut costs without laying anyone off. I just need to figure out the insurance situation. Mom appeared with a basket of muffins, stopping short when she saw me. Adeline, you're here. Of course I'm here. She set down the muffins and hugged me awkwardly. I didn't think, with your important Paris job. It's Dad, I said simply. Tears filled her eyes. I'm sorry for everything. I know it's too late, but... Mum, Willow interrupted. The doctor's here. The surgeon explained the procedure, risks, and recovery time. Mom started crying again. Willow took notes on her laptop. I watched them both, feeling like I'd stepped into an alternate universe. The surgery's scheduled for tomorrow morning, the doctor concluded. Any questions? The insurance, Willow began, is approved, a familiar voice said behind us. We turned to see Miguel standing there, looking out of place in his designer suit. What are you doing here? I asked. Handling the insurance situation. He handed Willow some papers. The company's international health coverage extends to immediate family of employees on overseas assignments. I had them backdate it to when you accepted the Paris position. Willow scanned the documents, her hands shaking. This covers everything. The surgery, the recovery, all of it. Miguel, I started, but he held up his hand. The Paris team can handle things for a few more weeks. Take care of your family. After he left, Mom turned to me. He seems nice. He's my boss, Mom. A boss who flew from Paris to help with your father's insurance. She raised an eyebrow. People don't do that for just employees. Can we focus? Willow was back to her laptop. We need to prepare for Dad's recovery. He'll need care at home, physical therapy. I'll handle that, Mom said quietly. I've been talking to someone, a therapist, learning to be more present, less controlling. Mom's actually cooking now, Willow added. Real food, not just stress baking. And you? I asked Willow. How are you really doing with all this? She closed her laptop. Terrified, overwhelmed, but also capable. For the first time in my life, I know I can handle things, even if they're hard, even if I'm scared. Your sister's become quite the businesswoman, Mom said proudly. She reminds me of you sometimes. No, Willow shook her head. I'm not trying to be Adeline anymore. I'm trying to be me, just a better version. Dad was awake when we entered his room. My girls, he smiled weakly. All three of you together. The surgery's approved, Willow told him. Everything's arranged. Never doubted you for a minute, sweetheart. He turned to me. Paris treating you well? It can wait, I said. Family comes first. Mom flinched at her own words being turned around, but Dad just smiled. No, princess. Family comes first doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. It means supporting each other while everyone grows. He squeezed my hand. Go back to Paris after the surgery. We've got this covered. Looking at Willow's quiet confidence, Mom's softened edges, and Dad's proud smile, I realized he was right. This wasn't the family I'd fled from months ago. We'd all changed, grown, learned to stand on our own and support each other in healthier ways. Okay, I agreed, but I'm staying until you're recovered from surgery. Deal, Willow said. Now, let's talk about your marketing expertise. The business could use some fresh ideas. We spent the night planning, talking, and actually listening to each other. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress, and sometimes that's enough. Welcome to Gibson & Gibson Marketing, Willow greeted me at the door of Dad's renovated office building. What do you think? I stared at the modern glass entrance, the sleek new logo, and the bustling employees visible through the windows. I barely recognize it. Wait until you see inside. She led me through, proudly pointing out changes. We've doubled our client base since implementing your marketing strategies. Dad mostly works from home now, but he comes in for the big meetings. And Mom started her own catering business. Turns out all that stress baking had a silver lining. Willow laughed. She's actually really good at it. In the main conference room, Dad sat at the head of the table, looking healthier than I'd seen him in years. There's my Paris director. Not anymore, I corrected, hugging him. New York's home base now. Paris is just a quarterly visit. Speaking of New York, Willow pulled out a folder. I have a proposal for you. Oh? We want to open a New York branch. Dad and I talked about it and... She took a deep breath. We'd like you to run it. I blinked. What? As an equal partner, Dad added, your sister's ideas and your marketing expertise, you'd be unstoppable. I already have a job. Miguel thought you might say that. Willow smiled knowingly. Miguel? Who do you think approached us about a potential merger? Dad's eyes twinkled. Marshall and Brooks's New York office merging with Gibson and Gibson. You'd head the combined operation. I sat down hard. You've been talking to Miguel? For months. Willow sat beside me. Look, I know our history is complicated, but we're not the same people anymore. I'm not asking you to save me or fix anything. I'm asking you to be my partner. Equal stakes, equal responsibility. What about Mum? Won't she expect... Mum's too busy with her catering company to interfere. Dad chuckled, though she does insist on providing food for all our client meetings. My phone buzzed. Miguel. Have they shown you the proposal yet? You knew about this? I texted back. Who do you think suggested it? You've outgrown being just an employee. Time to build something of your own. Willow watched me nervously. I know it's a lot to consider. Show me the numbers, I interrupted. Her face lit up as she pulled out spreadsheets and projections. We spent hours going through them, debating strategies, building on each other's ideas. This wasn't the old dynamic of me fixing her problems. This was true collaboration. One condition, I said finally. Name it. We keep the offices separate. I run New York, you run Chicago. We coordinate but maintain independence. Already planned for that. She pulled out another document. Draft partnership agreement. Completely equal, completely independent. When did you get so corporate? When I realized I was actually good at it. She smiled. Turns out I just needed to find my own path instead of being pushed onto someone else's. Dad stood up. This calls for celebration. Your mother's been stress baking all morning, waiting for an answer. I haven't said yes yet. Please, Willow scoffed. I saw your face when you were going through those projections. You're in. She was right. The numbers were solid, the strategy sound, and the opportunity perfect. But more than that, the dynamic felt right, equal, healthy. Mum was waiting at their house with a spread that could feed an army. Well, we're going to need a New York office warming party, I said. She hugged me, whispering, I'm so proud of who you've become, who you've helped us all become. Mom's getting sentimental, Willow Stage whispered. Quick, someone give her something to bake. We all laughed, naturally, easily, without the underlying tension that had marked our family gatherings for so long. My phone buzzed again. Miguel. Dinner tonight to celebrate, as your former boss and hopefully something more. I smiled, typing back, yes to both. Looking around at my family, Dad healthy and semi-retired, Mom finding her own passion, Willow standing confidently on her own feet, I realized something profound. Sometimes running away isn't about escape. Sometimes it's about creating enough distance for everyone to grow into who they're meant to be. To Gibson and Gibson, Dad raised his glass, and to the daughters who made it possible. To finding our own paths, Willow added, to healthy boundaries, Mom said softly. I raised my glass, looking at these familiar strangers who had become the family I always hoped we could be. To new beginnings. And this time, I truly meant it.
The text message from the realtor lit up my phone screen like a beacon of hope. Everything's ready for closing tomorrow. Just need your down payment confirmation. I smiled, running my fingers over the marble countertop of my aunt's pristine kitchen. After years of saving every penny, my dream of owning a craftsman-style house was finally within reach. My name is Malia, and I was about to learn the hard way that family and money are a dangerous mix. More wine, sweetheart? Aunt Sharon's voice pulled me from my thoughts. She stood there in her designer dress, crystal decanter poised. The family matriarch since my mother's death, she had insisted on hosting this special dinner tonight. No thanks. I should keep a clear head for tomorrow's closing. Her perfectly plucked eyebrows arched. Oh? What closing? I'm buying a house, I said, unable to contain my excitement. Remember that craftsman I showed you pictures of? The one with the wraparound porch? She set down the decanter with a sharp clink. Darling, we need to talk about something important first. The shift in her tone made my stomach clench. What's wrong? There's been a family emergency. She pulled out her iPad, manicured fingers tapping the screen. Your cousin George's medical bills have completely drained the family fund. We need everyone to pitch in. What family fund? The one your mother helped establish before she passed. Surely you remember signing the paperwork last year? She slid the iPad across the table. You agreed to be a joint holder on the account. My hands went cold as I stared at the banking app. My savings account, the one I'd been building for years, showed a balance of $246 on 12. What did you do? My voice came out as a whisper. What was necessary for family? Sharon's face softened with practiced sympathy. Georgia needed emergency surgery. The family always comes first, Malia. Your mother would have wanted... Don't. I stood up so fast my chair toppled backward. Don't you dare use Mom to justify this. Sit down, she commanded, her mask slipping. You're being dramatic. Dramatic? You stole my house down payment. I did no such thing. You authorized the transfer when you signed the joint account agreement. What agreement? I never... Then I remembered. The stack of papers she'd had me sign during Christmas dinner. She'd said they were updated beneficiary forms for Mom's old life insurance policy. You tricked me. The realization hit like a physical blow. Sharon's lips thinned. I protected you from making an impulsive decision. You're not ready for home ownership. The family needed those funds more than you needed some silly house. I pulled out my phone with trembling fingers. I'm calling the police. Go ahead. Her smile turned razor sharp. I have your signature on every document. Perfectly legal. Legal doesn't make it right. Right? She laughed. Right is protecting this family's interests. Right is honoring your mother's wishes by putting family first. You're still so young, so naive. I leaned across the table, getting right in her face. Mom would be disgusted by what you've done. The color drained from her cheeks. Get out of my house. Gladly. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. But don't think this is over. Don't be foolish, Malia. You can't win against me. I turned back, meeting her gaze. Watch me. The door slammed behind me with satisfying force. In my car, I finally let the tears fall. Years of savings, gone in an instant. My dream house slipping away. But beneath the grief, something harder was taking shape. Determination. My phone buzzed. The realtor again. Need that confirmation by 9 a.m. tomorrow. Everything okay? I typed back with shaking fingers. Have to postpone. Family emergency. Then I opened my contacts and scrolled to a number I hadn't called in years. Nick, my childhood best friend who'd become a financial investigator. He picked up on the third ring. Malia? It's been forever. Nick, I need your help. I took a deep breath. Remember all those weird things we noticed about Aunt Sharon after Mom died? I think I just found the tip of the iceberg. I'm listening. Good. Because I'm about to tear my aunt's perfect little world apart. As I drove home that night, Sharon's words echoed in my head. Family comes first. She was right about one thing. This was about family, but not the way she thought. This was about justice, truth, and making sure she never hurt another person the way she'd hurt me. The game was on, and I intended to win. The attic of my mother's old house smelled like dust and forgotten memories. Cardboard boxes towered around me, each one a potential clue to unraveling Aunt Sharon's web of lies. I'd been at it for hours when my phone buzzed. Any luck? Nick's voice crackled through the speaker. Nothing yet. I shifted another box, sending a cloud of dust into the air. But Sharon's story about Georgia's medical bills doesn't add up. I just got off the phone with Georgia herself. She hasn't had any surgery. Interesting. What else? Mom's will is missing. The copy Sharon showed us after the funeral left everything to the family trust. but I distinctly remember Mom telling me she'd set up individual inheritances for... The attic floorboard creaked behind me. I spun around to find my cousin Heidi standing at the top of the stairs, her eyes wide. "I'll call you back." I whispered to Nick and hung up. "What are you doing up here?" Heidi asked, stepping closer. "I could ask you the same thing. This is still my mother's house." Heidi's face softened. "Sharon sent me to check on you. She's worried you might do something rash." "Worried I might find something, you mean?" I pulled out a dusty folder. Like these bank statements showing transfers to offshore accounts starting the day after Mom died. Heidi's hands began to fidget with her necklace, a nervous habit she'd had since childhood. "Malia, please be careful. Sharon has connections." "Is that a threat?" "A warning." She glanced over her shoulder. "Look, I shouldn't be telling you this, but last year, when I questioned some discrepancies in my trust fund, strange things started happening. My job applications were mysteriously rejected. My rental application was denied." I set down the folder. "Sharon did that to you?" Heidi nodded. "She has Fletcher, the family lawyer, in her pocket, and Hazel handles all the financial cover-ups." "Hazel? Mom's old business partner?" "The same. They've been working together for years." Heidi moved closer, lowering her voice. "But Sharon made a mistake with you. She got greedy, took too much at once, left a paper trail." I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures of the bank statements. "Help me, Heidi. Help me take her down." She hesitated. "I can't openly oppose her, but..." She reached into her bag and pulled out a small key. "This opens Mom's old filing cabinet at the lake house. Sharon doesn't know I have it." As I took the key, something fluttered from between the bank statements. A handwritten note in my mother's familiar script. "My dearest Malia, if you're reading this, something has gone wrong. Don't trust the official will. The real one is with Marcus at Coastal Credit Union. Sharon must never know. Love, Mom." My hands shook. "Did you know about this?" Heidi shook her head. "But it doesn't surprise me. Aunt Sharon's been rewriting family history for years." The attic door suddenly slammed below. Heavy footsteps on the stairs. "Quick," Heidi whispered, grabbing the documents and shoving them into her bag. "Act natural." Fletcher appeared at the top of the stairs, his expensive suit out of place among the dusty boxes. "Ladies, Sharon sent me to check on you." "Just helping Malia sort through some old memories," Heidi said smoothly. "Right, cousin?" I forced a smile. "Right, nothing important here." Fletcher's eyes narrowed slightly. "Sharon mentioned you might be upset about the family fund situation. Perhaps we should discuss this in my office." "No need," I said, standing up. "I understand perfectly now. Family comes first, right?" He nodded slowly. "Exactly. I'm glad you're being reasonable about this." As we followed him downstairs, Heidi squeezed my hand. 3 quick pulses, our childhood signal for meet me later. Outside, Nick was waiting in his car around the corner. I slipped into the passenger seat and pulled out my phone, showing him the photos of the bank statements. "This is bigger than we thought," he said, scrolling through the images. "These transfers, they're sophisticated, professional. Can you trace them?" "It'll take time." "But Malia..." He looked at me seriously. "If what I'm seeing is right, this isn't just about your savings anymore. This could be major financial fraud." I thought about my mother's note, about Heidi's warning, about the years of manipulation I was just beginning to understand. "Good," I said, "because I'm done playing nice. First stop, Coastal Credit Union. It's time to find my mother's real will." Nick started the car. "Sharon won't know what hit her." "No," I agreed, watching my childhood home disappear in the rearview mirror. "She won't." The coffee shop buzzed with morning activity as Heidi slid into the booth across from me, her face pale. "Sharon's on the warpath. She knows you went to Coastal Credit Union yesterday. Let her fume." I pushed a latte toward her. The bank manager confirmed Mom's safety deposit box was emptied 3 days after her death. Care to guess who signed for access? Sharon and Hazel, Heidi said, wrapping her hands around the warm cup. They're always together when something shady happens. Bingo. But here's the interesting part. The manager remembered them because they argued in the lobby. Apparently, Hazel wasn't happy about something. Nick appeared with his laptop, sliding in next to me. Speaking of Hazel, you'll want to see this. He turned the screen toward us, showing a series of bank transfers. Every major withdrawal from your account was followed by a deposit into Hazel's offshore account within hours. Heidi leaned forward. That's not all. Remember Thomas, Sharon's ex-husband? He didn't leave her for his secretary like everyone thinks. He found something in her files and threatened to expose her. A week later, his business was audited, and he lost everything. Jesus, I whispered. How long has this been going on? Years. Sharon's been playing puppet master since before your mom died. The family fund is just her cover for... The bell above the coffee shop door chimed. Hazel walked in, her designer handbag clutched tight against her cream blazer. Our table fell silent. She spotted us and froze. For a moment, something like guilt flashed across her face. Then she turned and hurried out. Follow her, Nick said, already standing. I'll track her car. I caught up with Hazel in the parking lot. We need to talk. She quickened her pace. I have nothing to say to you. Really? Not even about my mother's safety deposit box? She stopped so abruptly I almost ran into her. You don't understand what you're dealing with? Then explain it to me. Hazel glanced around the empty parking lot. Not here. Meet me at the old boathouse by the lake. 3 o'clock. Come alone. Before I could respond, she jumped into her Mercedes and sped away. Well, that was dramatic, Heidi said, catching up. You're not really going alone, are you? Of course not. Nick will be nearby. I checked my phone. A text from Fletcher had just arrived. Need to discuss recent developments. My office, 2 p.m. He's trying to head us off, Heidi said, reading over my shoulder. Sharon must be getting nervous. Good. Let's give her something to really worry about. I forwarded Nick's banking evidence to my email, then dialed Fletcher's number. I'll be there, I told him. But I'm bringing proof of fraud. Your choice whether you want to be part of the problem or the solution. Silence on the line. Then, my office has a back entrance. Use that. 2 hours later, I sat across from Fletcher in his wood-paneled office, sliding copies of the bank transfers across his desk. His face grew increasingly pale as he reviewed them. He cleared his throat. This is very serious. No kidding. Want to tell me why you've been helping cover it up? He loosened his tie. Your aunt can be very persuasive. She has information that could ruin my career. Blackmail. Add it to the list. I leaned forward. Help me take her down, Fletcher, or go down with her. He stared at the documents for a long moment. There's a USB drive in her personal safe, records of everything, but I don't have access. Heidi does, I said. Sharon trusts her to water the plants when she's away. Fletcher checked his watch. Sharon has a charity board meeting at 4. The safe is behind the painting in her study. I stood up. Looks like I'll be late to my meeting with Hazel. Hazel? His head snapped up. Don't trust her, Malia. She's not what she seems. What do you mean? But Fletcher was already shuffling papers, avoiding my eyes. Just be careful. And Malia? I never saw these documents, and we never had this conversation. Outside, Nick was waiting in his car. How'd it go? Change of plans. We need to get into Sharon's house before 4. I showed him Fletcher's text with the safe combination. Ready to commit some light breaking and entering? Breaking and entering to expose fraud and theft? He grinned. I'm in. As we drove toward Sharon's house, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Your mother tried to stop her too. Don't make her mistakes. Nick, I said quietly. I think we need to find out what really happened to my mom. He gripped the steering wheel tighter. One thing at a time. First, Let's see what's in that safe. I nodded, watching Sharon's mansion grow larger in the windshield. One way or another, today would change everything. The security code beeped green as Heidi led us into Sharon's house. My heart pounded against my ribs as we crept toward the study. "Hurry," Heidi whispered. Sharon's meetings sometimes end early. Nick kept watch at the door while I moved the painting. A pretentious oil landscape, revealing the wall safe behind it. My fingers trembled as I input the combination Fletcher had provided. The safe clicked open. "Got it," I breathed, reaching inside. My hand closed around a USB drive, several folders, and... What's this? A small red diary, its leather worn soft with age. My mother's initials were embossed on the cover. "Guys?" Nick's urgent voice cut through the silence. Car coming up the driveway. "It's Hazel's Mercedes," Heidi hissed, peeking through the curtains. I shoved everything into my bag. "Fire escape, now." We scrambled down the metal stairs just as the front door opened. Crouching behind a hedge, we watched Hazel stride into the house, phone pressed to her ear. "Yes, Sharon, I'm here." "No, the safe looks untouched. Of course I'll check the USB is still..." "What?" Her voice rose sharply. "What do you mean Fletcher called?" Nick tugged my arm. "Time to go." We ran to his car parked around the corner. As we pulled away, I saw Hazel burst out of the house, frantically dialing her phone. "That was too close," Heidi said from the back seat. "What did you find?" I pulled out the USB drive. "Let's find out." Nick drove us to his apartment where he could safely access the drive's contents. While he worked, I opened my mother's diary, its pages filled with her familiar handwriting. "Holy shit," Nick said suddenly, staring at his laptop screen. "These aren't just banking records. There are emails, contracts, offshore account details. Sharon's been embezzling from multiple family trusts for years. Look at this," I said, pointing to a diary entry. Mom wrote that she confronted Sharon about missing funds 3 days before she died. She was going to expose everything at the next family meeting. Heidi's face went white. The meeting she never made it to because of her accident. A heavy silence fell over the room. Nick cleared his throat. "There's more. These documents show Sharon and Hazel have been running a sophisticated fraud scheme. They've been using the family trust as a front to..." A sharp knock at the door made us all jump. "Police! Open up!" Nick quickly ejected the USB drive and tossed it to me. "Back door, go, I'll handle this." Heidi and I slipped out just as Nick opened the front door. Through the window, I glimpsed Fletcher standing behind 2 officers. We ran 3 blocks before stopping to catch our breath. My phone buzzed. A text from Nick. "Safe. Fletcher filed complaint about stolen documents. Cops leaving. Meet at usual spot in 1 hour." "We need to talk to Hazel," Heidi said. "She's the weak link. Did you see her panic back there?" "Already on it." I showed her my phone, a message I'd sent to Hazel. "Have the USB. Know everything. Meeting in 30 mins at the lake house or these docs go public." The response came quickly. "Coming alone. Don't do anything stupid." The lake house was deserted when we arrived. Heidi took position upstairs with a clear view of the approach while I waited on the deck. The USB drive felt heavy in my pocket. Hazel's Mercedes appeared right on time. She got out slowly, hands raised to show she was alone. "Where's Sharon?" I called out. "Not coming." Hazel climbed the deck steps. "She doesn't know I'm here." "Start talking." She sank into a chair, suddenly looking older and tired. "Your mother was my best friend. When she discovered what Sharon was doing, I helped her gather evidence. But Sharon found out and..." She swallowed hard. "The night before your mother died, Sharon threatened my daughter's life if I didn't help cover everything up." "Why tell me this now?" "Because of this." She pulled out a folded paper from her jacket. "Your mother's last letter to me. Read it." My hands shook as I unfolded the paper. The date showed 1 day before Mom died. "Hazel, if anything happens to me, the proof is in the summer cabin's basement. Behind the old wine rack. Keep Malia safe. She's the only one strong enough to finish this." I looked up at Hazel. The cabin's been locked for years. She reached into her purse and withdrew a key. Not anymore. Before I could respond, Heidi's warning shout rang out. Cars coming, multiple. Headlights appeared on the access road. 3 vehicles approaching fast. Sharon, Hazel whispered. She must have followed me. I grabbed her arm. Is what's in that cabin enough to take her down? She nodded. Everything. The original will, proof of her crimes, all of it. Then let's go, now. As we rushed to her car, my phone lit up with a message from Nick. Got away from cops. Sharon's called an emergency family meeting for tomorrow. Whatever you're planning, do it fast. The game was reaching its endgame. And this time, I had all the pieces. The summer cabin's basement smelled like mold and secrets. Hazel's flashlight beam cut through the darkness, illuminating rows of dusty wine racks. There, she pointed. The 3rd rack from the left. My fingers traced the wooden frame until I felt it. A slight gap behind the rack. Pulling hard, the entire section swung out like a door, revealing a small alcove. Clever, Mom, I whispered, reaching inside. A metal lockbox sat waiting, exactly where she'd hidden it years ago. Hazel handed me a small key from her keyring, her hands trembling. Sharon's probably already at the lake house, she said. We don't have much time. The lockbox opened with a click. Inside, I found a thick manila envelope and a USB drive labeled Evidence. Footsteps creaked on the floor above us. We froze. Malia? Nick's voice called down. It's me and Heidi. Relief flooded through me. Down here. They hurried down the stairs, Heidi clutching her phone. Sharon's gone ballistic. She's called every family member, telling them you've lost your mind and are making up lies about her. Perfect timing, then, I said, pulling out the contents of the envelope. Because we just found... Wait. Something wasn't right. The papers were wrong. Too new, too crisp. And the USB drive. Hazel's flashlight beams suddenly steadied. I'm so sorry, Malia. The basement door slammed shut above us. A key turned in the lock. You set us up, I whispered. Heidi rushed up the stairs, rattling the door handle. It's locked. Sharon has my daughter, Hazel said, her voice breaking. I didn't have a choice. Heavy footsteps moved across the floor above. Sharon's voice carried through the door. Did you really think it would be that easy, Malia? That your mother would just leave evidence lying around for years? Where's the real evidence? I demanded, turning to Hazel. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Sharon destroyed most of it. What's left is in her private vault at First National. Along with your mother's real will. Sharon called down. Which, sadly, none of you will ever see. The police are on their way, Malia. Breaking and entering is such a serious charge. Nick pulled out his phone. No signal. Signal jammers. Hazel explained quietly. Sharon thinks of everything. I grabbed the flashlight from Hazel's hand and swung it toward the small window near the ceiling. Nick, give me a boost. Don't bother, Sharon said. Those windows are barred. Now, here's what's going to happen. The police will find you all trespassing with stolen documents in your possession. Quite a scandal. Unless what? Sign over your rights to the family trust. Walk away. I'll tell the police it was all a misunderstanding. I laughed, the sound harsh in the dark basement. You really think I care about the money now? This is about what you did to Mom. The silence above was deafening. Be careful, Malia, Sharon finally said. Accidents run in the family. Heidi gasped. Nick grabbed my arm. Even Hazel looked shocked. Did you just confess to killing my mother? Of course not. Sharon's voice turned silky. I'm simply pointing out that tragedy can strike anyone, even young, healthy people. Even tonight. While she talked, I'd been examining the bars on the window. They were old, rusted, and the frame. Nick, I whispered, those documents you copied from the USB drive, did you send them anywhere? He nodded. Encrypted email to my work account. Why? I pulled out my mother's diary. because Sharon made the same mistake with me that she made with Mom. She underestimated how much evidence we'd already gathered. Raising my voice, I called up to Sharon. "Hey, Aunt Sharon, remember Mom's old diary? The one from your safe? I just sent photos of every page to the family email list, including the entries about your threats before her death." "You're bluffing. Check your phone." Footsteps rushed away from the door. A moment later, Sharon's scream of rage echoed through the house. "Now, Nick," I hissed. He rammed his shoulder into the window frame. Once, twice. On the third hit, the entire frame broke free from the rotting wood. I turned to Hazel. "Coming?" She shook her head. "I'll keep her distracted. Save your mother's name, Malia. Please." We climbed out just as police sirens wailed in the distance. Running through the woods, I could still hear Sharon's fury echoing from the cabin. "Where now?" Heidi panted as we ran. "First National Bank," I said. "The night manager owes Nick a favor, and Sharon's private vault won't stay private for long." My phone buzzed. Messages flooding in from family members responding to Mom's diary pages. Each one more shocked and angry than the last. "The family meeting tomorrow just got a lot more interesting," Nick said. I smiled grimly. "Sharon wanted to talk about family secrets? Fine. Let's talk about all of them. You can't access this vault without proper authorization," the night manager said, glancing nervously between Nick and me. "Marcus," Nick leaned forward. "Remember when I helped clear your brother's fraud charges? Time to return the favor." The manager wiped his brow. "Sharon will sue the bank." "Sharon will be too busy dealing with the FBI," I said, sliding Mom's diary across his desk. "Read the entry from March 15th. His eyes widened as he read. This is about money laundering? And worse." I met his gaze. "My mother died 3 days after writing that." Marcus stood abruptly. "Follow me." The bank's vault area felt colder than the rest of the building. Marcus's keycard beeped 3 times before the heavy door swung open. "Vault 247, he said, leading us down a narrow corridor. "You have 15 minutes before the security system resets." Inside Sharon's vault, we found stacks of documents, USB drives, and a sealed envelope marked "Original Will, Margaret Stanley." "Got it," I breathed, hands shaking as I opened the envelope. Nick was photographing everything else with his phone. "Malia, look at this. Offshore account numbers, transaction records. Sharon's been stealing from more than just your family." A text lit up my phone. "Where are you? Sharon's called the police again." "Heidi." "We need to hurry," I said, stuffing the will into my jacket. Suddenly, the vault door began to close. "No, no, no." Nick jammed his foot in the gap, but it kept moving. "Marcus, override it." The manager's voice crackled through the intercom. "I'm sorry. Sharon's here with security. She knows about the access." "Marcus, don't." The door sealed with a heavy thunk, trapping us inside. "Well," Nick said into the darkness, "this is less than ideal." I pulled out my phone, using its light to examine the documents we'd found. "At least we have what we came for. Mom's real will. Proof of Sharon's crimes. Which won't matter if we suffocate in here." The intercom crackled again. This time, Sharon's voice filled the vault. "Found something interesting, dear niece?" "You killed her, didn't you?" I said. "Mom was going to expose you, so you had her killed. Such an active imagination. But since you're so interested in the truth, let me tell you what really happened to your mother." Nick was examining the vault door's hinges with my phone's light. He caught my eye and nodded slightly. "Keep her talking." "Your mother was weak," Sharon continued. "She thought everyone deserved an equal share of the family wealth. She wanted to dissolve the trust, give everyone their portion. Can you imagine? All that carefully managed money scattered to the winds. So you stopped her." I tried to reason with her, offered her a partnership, but she was determined to ruin everything I'd built. The brake lines in her car, that was regrettable, but necessary. Nick froze. I felt the blood drain from my face. "Did you just confess to murder over a recorded bank security system?" Silence. Then chaos erupted outside the vault. Multiple voices shouted. Something heavy fell. The door's mechanism whirred to life, and it swung open to reveal Heidi standing with Marcus and 2 FBI agents. Her phone was held up, recording. "I called in that favor you mentioned," she said to Nick. "The FBI was very interested in Sharon's financial activities." Sharon was face down on the floor, hands being cuffed behind her back. "You stupid girl," she spat at me. "You have no idea what you've done." "Actually," one of the agents said, "thanks to your confession and the evidence Ms. Stanley just recovered, we know exactly what's been done. Sharon Mills, you're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and the murder of Margaret Stanley." As they led Sharon away, I clutched Mom's will to my chest. "Is it really over?" "Almost," Nick said. "We still have the family meeting tomorrow." Heidi smiled grimly. The whole family heard Sharon's confession. I was broadcasting it live to the family group chat. My phone buzzed with a message from Hazel. "Sharon's daughter helped me escape. I'll testify about everything. Tell your mother's story." The next few hours passed in a blur of FBI interviews and document processing. By dawn, we'd given our statements, and Sharon was being held without bail. Back at my apartment, Nick, Heidi, and I sat around my kitchen table, empty coffee cups scattered between us. "The family meeting starts in 4 hours, Heidi said. "What's the plan?" I opened Mom's will, reading it carefully. We'd tell them everything, about Sharon's schemes, about Mom's murder, about how the trust was supposed to be distributed years ago. "They'll be shocked," Nick warned. "Angry. Some might not believe it." "They'll believe this." I held up the will. Mom left clear instructions. Equal shares for everyone, just like Sharon feared. It's time to make things right. Heidi reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Your mom would be proud." I looked at the rising sun through my window. "One more thing to do first. Nick, can you drive me somewhere?" "Where to?" "The cemetery. I need to tell Mom we finally got justice. The truth had cost my mother her life. But now, finally, it would set our family free." The family meeting room crackled with tension. Every chair around the massive oak table was filled. Faces I hadn't seen in years now turned toward me expectantly. Georgia sat directly across, fingers nervously tapping her water glass. Fletcher lurked in the corner, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Before we begin," I said, standing at the head of the table where Sharon usually sat, "I want to thank everyone for coming on such short notice." "Is it true?" Georgia burst out. "About Sharon? The arrest?" I nodded. "But there's more. Much more." I placed Mom's diary on the table. "Let's start with what really happened to my mother." The room fell silent as I read the final entries. Mom's suspicions about Sharon, the threats, the discovery of missing funds. With each word, the tension grew thicker. "That's impossible," Uncle Robert interrupted. "Sharon said Margaret's death was an accident." "Sharon lied about a lot of things," Heidi said, standing beside me. She played the recorded confession from the bank vault on the room's speakers. Gasps filled the room. Georgia started crying. Uncle Robert's face turned purple. "The FBI has confirmed everything," Nick added, distributing copies of the financial records. "Sharon's been stealing from all of you for years. The family fund was a front for her personal accounts." "What about our trusts?" Aunt Patricia demanded. "Our inheritances?" I pulled out Mom's original will. Everything was supposed to be distributed equally after Mom died. Sharon hid this will and created a fake one to maintain control. Fletcher stepped forward, clearing his throat. I can confirm this. I helped Sharon create the fraudulent will." "You what?" Uncle Robert stood so fast his chair toppled backward. "Sit down, Robert," I said firmly. "Fletcher's already confessed to the FBI in exchange for leniency, but he's not the only one who helped Sharon." The door opened and Hazel walked in. Several people started shouting at once. "Please," Hazel raised her hands. "Let me explain everything." For the next 30 minutes, Hazel detailed Sharon's years of manipulation and fraud, the hidden accounts, the threatened families, the carefully constructed web of lies that had kept everyone in line. Why come forward now? Georgia asked, wiping her eyes. Because of Malia, Hazel said. She did what her mother couldn't. She gathered enough evidence to bring Sharon down safely. I opened my laptop, projecting account statements onto the wall. These are your real inheritance amounts before Sharon's theft. The FBI has frozen all her assets. With her confession and these records, everything can be restored to its rightful owners. The room erupted in overlapping conversations. Questions about amounts, accusations about who knew what, demands for immediate action. Enough. I slammed my hand on the table. This isn't just about money. My mother died trying to protect this family from Sharon's greed. She wanted everyone to have their fair share, to be free from manipulation and threats. Silence fell again. I've prepared documents to dissolve the family trust, Nick said, passing out folders. Once signed, everyone will receive their full inheritance as originally intended. What about Sharon's share? Aunt Patricia asked. Forfeited, I replied. The FBI is seizing her assets as proceeds of crime, but her daughter Amy will receive her mother's original inheritance portion, as Mom intended. Georgia stood up, tears in her eyes. I'd like to say something. She turned to face me. Malia, I had no idea Sharon was using my name to steal your savings. I'm so sorry. I know, I said softly. She used all of us against each other. That ends today. One by one, family members came forward to sign the dissolution documents. With each signature, I could feel Mom's presence growing stronger in the room. There's one more thing, I said as the last paper was signed. Mom left letters for each of you, hidden with her will. Sharon never found them. I distributed the sealed envelopes, watching as people opened them with trembling hands. Soon the room was filled with sniffles and quiet sobs as they read Mom's final words. What happens now? Heidi asked as the meeting wound down. Sharon's preliminary hearing is next week, Nick answered. With the evidence and confessions we have, she'll never see freedom again. Family members began filtering out, some hugging me, others still too shocked to speak. Georgia lingered. I'd like to help, she said. With the court case, with anything. I want to make things right. I hugged her. Mom would like that. Later, as Nick drove me home, I finally felt the weight lifting from my shoulders. I can buy my house now, I realized, laughing suddenly. After all this, that's what you're thinking about? Mom always said home is where you build your future. I smiled, watching the sunset paint the sky. It's time I built mine. My phone buzzed. A text from the realtor. The Craftsman house is still available. Ready to move forward? Yes, I typed back. I'm ready for everything. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters as Sharon was led out in handcuffs. She caught my eye as she passed, her designer outfit replaced by prison orange, her perfect makeup gone. For a moment, I saw something I'd never seen before in her expression. Defeat. Life sentence, Nick said, squeezing my hand. No possibility of parole. Heidi hugged me from the other side. It's really over. Not quite, I said, watching Sharon disappear into the prison transport van. There's one more thing to do. The drive to my new house felt different this time. The Craftsman's wraparound porch welcomed us with late afternoon sunshine, and Georgia was already waiting on the steps with a box in her hands. Found these in Sharon's storage unit, she said as we approached. Old family photos. Thought you might want them for the house. Inside, the empty rooms echoed with possibility. Nick and Heidi started unpacking boxes while Georgia and I sorted through the photos on the floor. Look at this one, she said, holding up a faded picture. Your mom and Sharon as teenagers. They actually looked happy together. Before money poisoned everything, I said, taking the photo. Young Sharon smiled at the camera, arm around my mother's shoulders. Both so innocent, unaware of what lay ahead. The doorbell rang. Hazel stood on the porch with her daughter Amy. We brought a housewarming gift, Amy said, holding out a small pot of herbs. Mom said Aunt Margaret used to grow these in her kitchen. Basil, Hazel smiled. She always said a home needs something living to grow with it, I invited them in, watching as Amy gravitated toward Georgia and the photos. Soon they were sharing stories, laughing over old memories, creating new connections Sharon had tried so hard to prevent. Fletcher arrived next, carrying a thick folder. The last of the paperwork. Everyone's inheritances have been properly distributed, and he pulled out a set of keys. These belong to you, your mother's lake house. The real estate agent can list it whenever you're ready. I'm not selling it, I said, taking the keys. Mom loved that place. We'll use it for family gatherings. Real ones this time. The afternoon flowed into evening. More family members dropped by with food, furniture, and stories. Uncle Robert installed new security locks while his wife helped arrange the kitchen. Cousin Thomas set up the Wi-Fi network. The house slowly came alive with voices and laughter. Nick found me on the porch, taking a break from the chaos inside. You okay? He asked, handing me a glass of wine. Better than okay. I looked through the window at my family. My real family, working together to build something new. Just thinking about Mom. She wanted this, you know? Not just the fair distribution of money, but this. Family supporting each other instead of tearing each other apart. She'd be proud of you. Of us, I corrected. I couldn't have done this alone. Heidi poked her head out. Hey, we found something interesting in one of Sharon's boxes. You need to see this. Inside, everyone had gathered around the dining table where Hazel was holding a manila envelope. These are letters Sharon wrote but never sent, she explained. One for each family member, including you, Malia. She wrote them the night before her arrest. I opened mine slowly, recognizing Sharon's precise handwriting. Malia, by the time you read this, I'll have lost everything. You're stronger than your mother was, smarter. You beat me at my own game, and part of me is proud of that. I convinced myself I was protecting the family fortune, but you protected the family itself. That's what Margaret would have wanted. I'm sorry I lost sight of that. Sharon. Well, Georgia said into the silence. That's as close to a real apology as we'll ever get from her. It's enough, I said, folding the letter. We can't change the past, but we can build something better. Nick raised his wine glass. To new beginnings? To family, I corrected, looking around at the faces of people who had gone from strangers to supporters. The real kind. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, I sat on my new porch swing, listening to the neighborhood settle into darkness. The house keys felt right in my hand, like they'd been waiting for me all along. My phone lit up with a message from Georgia. Thank you for bringing us back together. Dinner at my place next week? I smiled, typing back. Wouldn't miss it. Inside, the basil plant sat on my windowsill, its leaves reaching toward the moonlight. Mom was right. A home needs something living to grow with it. And now, finally, both the house and our family had room to grow. The porch swing creaked gently as I rocked, at peace with the quiet. Sharon had tried to build an empire of secrets and fear. Instead, she'd given me the chance to build something much stronger. Truth, trust, and a real home for the family Mom had always believed in.
As I pulled up to the curb and parked the car, a familiar sense of dread crept up my spine. It was the first day of school, and I knew I'd have to face my ex-husband Ethan and his new wife Cassidy at the drop-off line. I took a deep breath, turning to my husband Dean, who gave me a reassuring squeeze on my hand. "You've got this, Lila. I'm right here with you," he said, his warm brown eyes locking onto mine. I nodded, steeling myself for the inevitable confrontation. Dean and I stepped out of the car, our kids, Mason and Harper, bounding ahead of us, excited for their first day back. "Mason, Harper, slow down, wait for us," I called out, hurrying to catch up. As we approached the school entrance, I saw them. Ethan, standing tall and imposing, Cassidy draped on his arm, her tight dress and heavy makeup drawing all the wrong kind of attention. Well, if it isn't the happy little family," Ethan sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. I felt Dean's hand on the small of my back, a silent reminder that I wasn't alone. "Ethan, Cassidy," I replied, my voice steady, betraying none of the turmoil raging inside me. Cassidy narrowed her eyes, her ruby-red lips curling into a smirk. "Lila, fancy seeing you here. I must say, you're looking a bit tired. I guess chasing after 2 kids can really take it out of a woman. I clenched my jaw, fighting the urge to lash out. Instead, I simply squeezed Dean's hand, drawing strength from his presence. "The kids are doing great. Thanks for asking," Dean interjected, his tone light but firm. "Mason's been counting down the days until he could see his friends again." Ethan's gaze shifted to our son, a cruel glint in his eyes. "Yes, I'm sure he has, though I wonder how long it'll be before he starts asking about his real father." Mason, oblivious to the tension, bounced on his heels, eager to join his classmates. Harper, sensing the hostility, pressed closer to me, her small hand gripping mine tightly. "Ethan, that's enough," I said, my voice low but unyielding. "The kids are off limits, and you know it." Ethan leaned in, his face mere inches from mine. "Oh, Lila, you know I'm not the one who's off limits here. Maybe if you'd been a better wife, I wouldn't have had to find other outlets." I felt the blood rush to my face, fury and humiliation burning through me. Before I could respond, Cassidy let out a shrill laugh, drawing the attention of the other parents. "Oh, Ethan, darling, you always did have a way with words." Poor Lila, still trying to cling to her dignity, even after all these years. The confrontation was spiraling, and I knew I had to get my kids away from this toxic mess. I took a step forward, putting myself between Ethan and our children. "That's enough. Come on, kids, let's get you to class." As I turned to leave, Ethan's voice rang out, laced with malice. "This isn't over, Lila, not by a long shot." I froze, the implication of his words sending a chill down my spine. Something told me this was just the beginning of a much bigger battle. The confrontation with Ethan and Cassidy played in my mind on a loop as I drove home from dropping the kids off at school. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, knuckles turning white, fury simmering just below the surface. How dare he? After everything he put me through, he still had the audacity to stand there and mock me in front of our children. The nerve of him, using our son as a pawn in his twisted games. I slammed my hand against the dashboard, the sharp pain grounding me. No, I wouldn't let him get to me. Not this time. I was done being the victim. As soon as I got home, I headed straight for my home office, booting up my computer with a sense of grim determination. If Ethan thought he could continue to undermine me, he had another thing coming. Fingers flying across the keyboard, I began digging, searching for any sign of his underhanded tactics. It didn't take long before I uncovered a disturbing pattern. Invoices, emails, and financial records that painted a clear picture of Ethan's relentless efforts to sabotage my career. "That bastard," I muttered under my breath, rage building with every new piece of evidence I uncovered. He had been systematically undermining my projects, spreading rumors about my competence, and even going so far as to interfere with potential clients and business partners, all in a calculated attempt to force me back into his orbit, to make me dependent on him once more. I leaned back in my chair, mind racing as I tried to process the magnitude of his betrayal. After all these years, after the pain and heartbreak he had already caused, he was still consumed by his need to control me. "Lila, honey, what's wrong?" I looked up to see Dean standing in the doorway, his brow furrowed with concern. I'd been so lost in my own thoughts that I hadn't heard him come in. "It's Ethan," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. "He's been sabotaging my work, Dean, all this time. He's been trying to undermine me, to force me back to him." Dean's expression hardened, his jaw clenching as he absorbed the information. That son of a bitch. I knew he was trouble, but this... He moved closer, placing a comforting hand on my shoulder. "What are you going to do?" I met his gaze, my resolve hardening. "I'm going to fight back. I'm not going to let him win. Not this time." Dean nodded, his eyes shining with pride. "I'm with you, Lila. Whatever you need, I'm here." I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the world lift from my shoulders. With Dean by my side, I knew I could take on Ethan and win. "I'm going to need your help," I said, already formulating a plan in my mind. "I've got to start gathering more evidence, build a case against him, and I know just the person who can help." I reached for my phone, scrolling through my contacts until I found the number I was looking for. Alex, an old friend and a brilliant lawyer, had always had my back. If anyone could help me take Ethan down, it would be him. As I pressed the call button, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was my chance to finally break free from Ethan's grasp, to reclaim my life, and build a future with the man I loved. Whatever it took, I was ready to fight. The call to Alex was a godsend. As soon as I explained the situation to him, he jumped into action, his legal expertise and sharp mind immediately honing in on the best course of action. "Leela, this is a serious case of harassment and financial sabotage," he said, his voice laced with concern. "We're going to need to gather as much evidence as possible to build a strong case against Ethan." I nodded, feeling a weight lifted from my shoulders. I've already started digging, and the proof of his underhanded tactics is mounting. I can't believe he's been doing this all along. Alex let out a low whistle. "Sounds like he's been playing the long game. Well, we're not going to let him get away with it. I'll start putting together a legal strategy, and I want you to keep gathering everything you can. We're going to take this bastard down." I felt a surge of gratitude and relief wash over me. "Thank you, Alex. I don't know what I'd do without you." "Hey, that's what friends are for," he replied, his tone reassuring. "I've got your back, Leela. We're going to make sure Ethan pays for his crimes." As I hung up the phone, I couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. With Alex on my side, I knew I had a fighting chance against Ethan's relentless schemes. But just as I was about to dive back into my research, my phone rang again. This time, the caller ID showed Cassidy's number. I hesitated for a moment, unsure of whether to answer, but something in me compelled me to pick up. "Hello?" "Leela, it's Cassidy." Her voice sounded strained, and I could hear the faint sound of crying in the background. "Cassidy, what's wrong?" I asked, my heart racing. "It's Ethan," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I found something in his accounts, and I think he's been lying to me." I felt a surge of sympathy despite the history between us. "What did you find?" Cassidy took a shaky breath. "Massive debts, suspicious transfers, and a lot of it seems to be tied to his business dealings with you. Leela, I think he's been using me to cover up his own financial troubles." I sat back in my chair, mind reeling. So Ethan had been keeping Cassidy in the dark about his true financial state. The realization that his new wife was unaware of his underhanded tactics only added to the complexity of the situation. "Cassidy, I'm so sorry you're going through this," I said, my voice soft. "But I want you to know that I had no idea about any of this. Ethan has been trying to sabotage me for years, and I've only just uncovered the extent of his schemes." There was a brief silence on the other end of the line, and then Cassidy spoke up again, her voice laced with a newfound determination. "Leela, I want to help. If what you're saying is true, then I need to know the full extent of Ethan's deception. I can't be a part of this anymore." I felt a surge of surprise at her words, but I quickly recovered, recognizing the opportunity before me. "Cassidy, I'd be grateful for your help. Let's work together to expose Ethan and put an end to his lies." As I hung up the phone, I couldn't help but feel a sense of cautious optimism. Perhaps Cassidy, an unlikely ally, could be the key to finally bringing Ethan down. With Alex's legal expertise and Cassidy's newfound cooperation, I finally felt like I had a fighting chance against Ethan's relentless scheming. Together, we began to meticulously piece together the evidence of his underhanded tactics, building a solid case that would expose his true nature. "Okay, here's what we've got so far," Alex said, his brow furrowed in concentration as he reviewed the documents spread out on the conference table. "Ethan has been systematically undermining your business dealings, sabotaging your contracts, and even going so far as to interfere with your client relationships." I nodded, my jaw set with determination. "The proof is all there, Alex. He's been trying to force me back into a position of financial dependence on him." Cassidy, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up, her voice laced with a mixture of anger and betrayal. "I can't believe he's been doing this. All this time, I thought he was just a successful businessman. I had no idea the extent of his deception." Alex reached across the table, placing a reassuring hand on Cassidy's arm. "I know this is a lot to take in, but we're going to make sure Ethan pays for his crimes. Leela, I think the best course of action is to start exposing his unethical practices to his business partners and stakeholders." I felt a surge of determination coursing through me. "Let's do it. I'm ready to bring him down." Over the next few days, Alex and I worked tirelessly, compiling the evidence and crafting a strategic plan to methodically dismantle Ethan's carefully constructed facade. We reached out to his business partners, alerting them to his shady dealings, and leveraged Cassidy's inside knowledge to further strengthen our case. The ripple effects were immediate. Ethan's business ventures began to crumble as his partners and investors grew increasingly wary of his questionable practices. I watched with a sense of vindication as the man who had once held such power over me slowly started to lose his grip. But just when I thought we were making headway, Ethan struck back, launching a vicious attack on my company. I received a panicked call from one of my employees, informing me that a major client had abruptly pulled out of a lucrative contract, citing concerns about my leadership and the company's stability. "Damn it, Ethan," I muttered, slamming my fist against the desk. "He's not going to give up without a fight." Alex's eyes narrowed, his brow furrowing in concentration. This is exactly the kind of move I was expecting from him. But we're not going to let him win. We've got a solid case, and we're going to use it against him. Cassidy, who had been listening intently, leaned forward, her expression hardening. "I'm in. Whatever it takes to bring Ethan down, I'm with you." With a newfound sense of purpose, the three of us set out to execute our plan, determined to expose Ethan's deception and reclaim the power he had stolen from me. As we entered the conference room to confront Ethan's business partners, I felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins. This was my chance to finally break free from his grasp, to reclaim my life and my future. "Gentlemen," I said, my voice unwavering, "we're here to discuss the unethical practices of Ethan Moore and how they've been affecting our business dealings." The room fell silent, and I knew that the battle had truly begun. The confrontation in the conference room was tense, the air thick with anticipation as Alex, Cassidy, and I laid out the damning evidence against Ethan. The businessmen sitting around the table shifted uncomfortably, their expressions shifting from disbelief to outrage as the scope of Ethan's unethical practices became clear. "This is outrageous," one of the partners, a well-respected businessman named Robert, exclaimed. "If what you're saying is true, Ethan has been systematically undermining our company's success for his own personal gain." I nodded, my gaze unwavering. "The proof is all there. Ethan has been sabotaging our contracts, interfering with our client relationships, and even funneling funds from our projects into his own personal accounts." Cassidy, her eyes blazing with a righteous fury, spoke up. "I had no idea the extent of his deception. I believed he was a successful and honest businessman. But it turns out he's been using me to cover up his own financial troubles." The other partners exchanged uneasy glances, the gravity of the situation sinking in. Alex leaned forward, his voice steady and authoritative. "Gentlemen, we're here to ask that you sever all ties with Ethan Moore and his businesses. If you continue to work with him, you'll be complicit in his unethical practices and will be forced to take legal action." The room erupted into a flurry of heated discussions, the partners debating the implications of cutting Ethan loose. I watched, my heart pounding, as the tide slowly began to turn against my ex-husband. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Robert stood up, his expression grim. "After careful consideration, we've decided to terminate all of our business relationships with Ethan Moore. His actions are unacceptable, and we will not be associated with such blatant disregard for ethical conduct." A collective sigh of relief passed through the room, and I felt a surge of triumph coursing through my veins. We had won the first round, and Ethan's carefully constructed empire was starting to crumble. As we left the conference room, Alex placed a hand on my shoulder, a proud smile on his face. "Nicely done, Lila. I knew you had it in you to take this bastard down." I returned the smile, feeling a weight lifted from my shoulders. "None of this would have been possible without you and Cassidy. Thank you, both of you, for standing by me." Cassidy stepped forward, her expression resolute. "Lila, I may have been Ethan's wife, but I refuse to be complicit in his lies and manipulation. He's going to pay for what he's done, to you and to me." I reached out and squeezed her hand, a newfound respect blossoming between us. Together, we're going to make sure he does. In the days that followed, the news of Ethan's unethical practices spread like wildfire through the business community. One by one, his partnerships and contracts began to unravel, the damage to his reputation irreparable. And as I watched Ethan's world crumble around him, I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. This was no longer just about my own redemption. It was about reclaiming the power he had stolen from me, and ensuring that he could never again use his position to hurt me or my family. With each new victory, I felt a surge of resilience and determination. Ethan had once been the one in control, but now the tables had turned. I was the one calling the shots. And I wasn't going to stop until he was completely and utterly defeated. As news of Ethan's unethical practices continued to spread, his world began to unravel at an alarming pace. One by one, his business partnerships and lucrative contracts slipped through his fingers, the damage to his reputation proving to be irreparable. I watched with a mix of satisfaction and trepidation as the tables turned, knowing that Ethan's desperation would only continue to grow. And true to form, he soon made his move, launching a bold attack against my own company. It started with a series of anonymous calls to my clients, casting doubt on my leadership and the stability of my business. Rumors swirled, and I could feel the pressure mounting as several key accounts began to waver in their support. "Damn it, Ethan," I muttered under my breath, my hands clenching into fists. "He's not going down without a fight." I immediately called Alex, our strategy session intense and focused, as we worked to counter Ethan's latest maneuver. "This is exactly the kind of underhanded tactic I was expecting from him," Alex said, his brow furrowed in concentration. "But we're not going to let him win. We've got the evidence, and we're going to use it to our advantage." With renewed determination, we sprang into action, reaching out to our clients and partners, providing them with the irrefutable proof of Ethan's misdeeds. It was a delicate dance, reassuring them while also demonstrating our unwavering commitment to integrity and transparency. And just when it seemed like we were starting to gain the upper hand, Ethan struck again, this time with a direct confrontation. I was in my office, reviewing the latest financial reports, when my assistant knocked on the door, her expression tense. "Lila, Ethan Moore is here to see you. He's demanding to speak with you immediately." I felt a chill run down my spine, but I steeled my nerves, knowing that I couldn't back down. "Send him in," I said, my voice steady. Ethan burst through the door, his eyes wild and his usually composed demeanor shattered. "Lila, what the hell have you done?" he snarled, slamming his fist on my desk. I remained calm, meeting his gaze with unwavering determination. "I've done what I needed to do to protect myself and my family from your manipulative schemes, Ethan. You brought this upon yourself." He let out a bitter laugh, his expression twisting into a sneer. "Protect yourself? Ha! You're nothing without me, Lila. This company, this life, it's all because of me, and now you're trying to destroy everything I've built." I felt a surge of anger, but I refused to let it show. "No, Ethan. This company, this life, it's mine. You may have helped me get started, but I built this with my own 2 hands, and I'm not going to let you take it away from me again." Ethan's face contorted with rage, and for a moment I thought he might lash out physically. But just then, the door burst open, and Cassidy strode in, her expression a mix of fury and determination. "Eth over," she said, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "I know about your financial troubles, your shady business dealings. You're finished." Ethan's eyes went wide, and he seemed to shrink before our very eyes. In that moment, I knew that the tide had finally turned. Ethan's reign of control was coming to an end, and I was going to emerge victorious. As Ethan stood before me, his carefully constructed facade crumbling, I felt a sense of vindication wash over me. All the years of pain, the manipulation, and the constant fear of losing everything, it had all led to this moment. Cassidy's revelation, coupled with the mounting evidence of Ethan's unethical practices, had dealt a devastating blow to his already precarious position. The man who had once wielded such power over me was now reduced to a desperate, cornered animal, his world rapidly unraveling around him. "Ethan, it's over," I said, my voice steady and unwavering. "You've lost." He stared at me, his eyes wild with a mix of fury and desperation. "Lost? No, this isn't over, Lila. You can't do this to me. I won't let you." Cassidy stepped forward, her expression unyielding. "Yes, Ethan, it is over. I've seen the evidence of your lies and your financial troubles. You're finished." Ethan's gaze darted between Cassidy and me, his usually composed demeanor shattered. "You bitch," he spat, his voice dripping with venom. "You're both going to pay for this." I felt a surge of pity, despite the hatred I felt towards him. Ethan, threatening us isn't going to change anything. It's time for you to face the consequences of your actions. He let out a hollow laugh, his shoulders slumping in defeat. Consequences? You have no idea what I'm capable of, Lila. I'll destroy you. I'll destroy everything you've built. I knew that Ethan was at his most dangerous when he was cornered, but I refused to be intimidated. Go ahead and try, Ethan. But this time, I'm not going to back down. I'm done being your victim. Ethan's expression darkened, and for a moment I thought he might lash out, but then something seemed to shift in him and his shoulders sagged in resignation. Fine, he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. What do you want? I felt a sense of triumph, but I refused to gloat. I want you to leave us alone, Ethan. I want you to stop interfering in my life and my family's life, and I want you to make amends for the damage you've caused. Ethan's eyes narrowed, and I could see the wheels turning in his mind. Amends? What do you mean? I mean, you're going to make a full confession, Ethan, I said, my voice hardening. You're going to publicly acknowledge your unethical practices, and you're going to make restitution to the people and companies you've hurt. Ethan's face contorted with rage, but he remained silent, his jaw clenched. And if you don't, I continued, I'll make sure that you pay the full price for your crimes. You won't just lose your business and your reputation. You'll lose everything. The room was thick with tension as Ethan considered my ultimatum. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he let out a defeated sigh. Fine, he muttered, his voice laced with resignation. I'll do it. As Ethan turned to leave, Cassidy stepped forward, her expression hardening. And Ethan, this is the last time you'll ever see me. I'm done with your lies and your manipulation. Our marriage is over. Ethan's eyes widened, and for a moment he looked almost vulnerable. But then he turned and walked out of the room, his shoulders slumped in defeat. I watched him go, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. It was over. Ethan's reign of terror was finally at an end. And this time, I knew that I had the strength and the support to move on, to build a new life free from his shadow. As I looked around the room, surrounded by the smiling faces of my family and friends, a sense of overwhelming relief and gratitude washed over me. It was Mason's 7th birthday, and despite the tumultuous events of the past few weeks, we were finally able to celebrate in peace and happiness. Dean stood by my side, his arm wrapped firmly around my waist, his gaze filled with love and pride. After all the battles we had endured, he had never wavered in his support, his unwavering belief in me a constant source of strength. You did it, Lila, he whispered, pulling me close. You finally broke free from Ethan's grasp. I'm so proud of you. I leaned into his embrace, feeling the tension in my shoulders melt away. I couldn't have done it without you, Dean. You and Alex and Cassidy. You all stood by me, even when the odds seemed stacked against us. Dean chuckled softly, his eyes crinkling at the corners. That's what family is for, Lila. We stick together, no matter what. A sudden burst of laughter drew our attention to the other side of the room, where Mason and Harper were gathered with their friends, their faces aglow with joy and excitement. Watching them, carefree and happy, filled me with a sense of profound gratitude and relief. They deserve this, Lila, Dean murmured, his gaze fixed on our children. They deserve to grow up in a home filled with love and laughter, without the shadow of Ethan's darkness looming over us. I nodded, a lump forming in my throat. You're right, and thanks to you and to everyone who stood by us, that's exactly what they're going to have. As the party wore on, I found myself drifting from one group to another, basking in the warmth and support of the loved ones who had rallied around me. Friends from work, neighbors, and even Cassidy, they all offered their congratulations and well wishes, their genuine smiles, a testament to the community that had stood by me during my darkest hours. Lila, I just wanted to say how proud I am of you, Cassidy said, her voice softened by a newfound humility, and to thank you for everything you've done to help me see the truth about Ethan. I felt a surge of empathy, reaching out to give her hand a gentle squeeze. Cassidy, you don't have to thank me. You're the one who found the courage to walk away from him. That's not an easy thing to do. She nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I know, but I couldn't have done it without your support. You've shown me that there's a life beyond Ethan's shadow, and I'm determined to build that for myself. I smiled, feeling a newfound respect for the woman who had once been my adversary. You're going to be just fine, Cassidy. And if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here. As the party wound down and the last of our guests departed, I found myself alone with Dean and the kids, basking in the warm glow of the living room fireplace. Mason and Harper were curled up on the couch, their eyes heavy with sleep, and Dean pulled me close, pressing a gentle kiss to my forehead. "It's over, Lila," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "You can finally breathe again." I nodded, my own eyes brimming with tears of relief and joy. "Yes, Dean, it's over, and now we can focus on building the life we deserve, together." As I watched my family, safe and content in our home, I knew that the battle had been worth it. Ethan's reign of terror was finally at an end, and I had emerged stronger, more resilient, and more determined than ever to forge a future filled with love, happiness, and the unwavering support of those who truly mattered.
The text message glowed in the darkness of my car. "St. Mary's Church, 2 p.m. You need to see this. Unknown number." My hands trembled as I gripped the steering wheel, watching guests filter into the old stone building through my rain-streaked windshield. I'm Eleanor. And right now, I'm sitting in my car like some cut-rate private investigator, wondering if I've finally lost my mind. My husband Ryan told me he had a business conference in Chicago. That's what the calendar said. That's what his secretary confirmed. That's what the hotel reservation showed. But here I am, parked across from a church in Boston, because some stranger decided to play guardian angel, or devil. I haven't decided which yet. "This is insane," I whisper to myself, but I'm already reaching for my sunglasses. The church bells start their mournful toll as I slip out of my car, heels clicking against wet pavement. Each step feels like I'm walking toward my own execution. I slip in through the side door, finding a spot behind a marble pillar. The familiar scent of lilies and incense hits me, and for a moment, I'm transported back to my own wedding day. 7 years ago. Same church, different dreams. The organ starts playing, and my heart stops. Because there he is, Ryan, my Ryan. Standing at the altar in a tuxedo I've never seen before, hands clasped in front of him, that familiar nervous tick in his jaw. He's not in Chicago. He's here, waiting for... The bride appears at the entrance, and the ground shifts beneath my feet. Long, dark hair, olive skin. That graceful walk I'd know anywhere. Megan, my best friend since 3rd grade. The woman who helped me pick out my own wedding dress. Dearly beloved. The priest's words fade into white noise as I watch them exchange vows. My husband and my best friend, promising to love each other until death do them part. Just like he promised me. Just like we all promised each other when we were kids. No secrets, no lies, friends forever. I don't remember leaving the church. Don't remember the drive home. But I remember the moment I decided. Sitting in our kitchen, our perfect, magazine-worthy kitchen that Ryan insisted on remodeling last year, watching the sun set through windows that suddenly felt like prison bars. My phone buzzes. Ryan. "Conference running late. Don't wait up." I pour myself a glass of his favorite scotch, the one he saves for special occasions. The liquid burns my throat as I swallow, and I welcome the pain. It's real. Unlike everything else in my life. Another text from the unknown number. "Now you know. What will you do about it?" What will I do? I laugh, and it sounds foreign to my ears. Sharp, dangerous, like breaking glass. I open my laptop and start typing. "Dear Laura, I hope this email finds you well. I've been thinking about hosting that family reunion you've always wanted." Because that's the thing about betrayal. It's not just about the act itself. It's about the elaborate dance of lies that came before it. The carefully constructed alibis. The practiced smiles. The casual touches that meant nothing. And Ryan, my charming, perfect Ryan, has always been an excellent dancer. But so have I. I take another sip of scotch and smile. Let them have their honeymoon. Let them think they've won. I've got time. And I've got something better than their love. I've got their trust. The sun sets completely, leaving me in darkness. But for the first time today, I can see everything clearly. The old photo album feels heavy in my lap, each page weighted with memories I can't trust anymore. There we are, Ryan, Megan, and me at 16, sprawled on my parents' lawn. Ryan's arm is around both of us, and we're laughing at some forgotten joke. The edges of the photograph are worn, like everything else about that summer. I ordered Chinese, Ryan calls from downstairs. His footsteps echo through our house, each one making my skin crawl. He's been home 3 days since the wedding, his second wedding, acting like nothing's changed, like he didn't just shatter everything we built. I close the album as he enters our bedroom, carrying 2 plates of food I won't touch. Remember when we used to get takeout with Megan every Friday? The words leave my mouth before I can stop them, sharp as broken glass. Ryan's smile doesn't quite reach his eyes. That was a lifetime ago. Was it? I stand up, letting the album fall to the floor with a satisfying thud. Because I saw her 3 days ago. She looked exactly the same. His chopsticks freeze halfway to his mouth. Just for a second. Blink, and you'd miss it. But I catch it. I catch everything now. Eleanor. He sets his plate down, approaching me with that concerned expression he uses on difficult clients. Have you been drinking? I laugh, and it sounds like my mother's laugh after Dad left. That's your move? Gaslight the wife into thinking she's crazy? I'm worried about you. His hand reaches for mine. I step back. When did it start? The question burns my throat. Was it before our wedding? During? Tell me, Ryan, was I the backup plan or the cover story? You're not making any sense. But his left hand twitches. His tell when he's lying. I've spent 7 years cataloging his habits, learning his rhythms. Funny how clearly you see things when you're looking for the cracks. I was at St. Mary's on Tuesday. The words hang between us like smoke. Nice tux, by the way. Better than the one you wore at our wedding. The mask slips. Just for a moment, but it's enough. His eyes go cold, calculating. This is the real Ryan, the one I never let myself see. It's not what you think. Don't. My voice doesn't shake. I'm proud of that. Don't insult me with excuses. I watched you marry my best friend while I was supposedly your loving wife at home. What exactly should I think? He runs his hands through his hair. Another tell. It's complicated. There are things you don't understand. Like what? The joint bank accounts you opened? The property you bought together? Or maybe the fact that your mother knew the whole time? That stops him. How did you— I'm not the idiot you think I am. I move to the dresser, pull out the stack of documents I've collected over the past 3 days. You should really use better passwords than our anniversary date. Though I guess that's meaningless now. Eleanor, please. He reaches for the papers. I hold them back. We can work this out. I'll explain everything. Like you explained your business trip to Chicago. I spread the documents on the bed. Bank statements, property deeds, emails. Or should we discuss the trust fund Laura set up for your children with Megan? His face goes white. You had no right. I had every right. The scream tears from my throat, raw and primal. I'm your wife. I was your friend. We grew up together, all 3 of us. And you— I stop, breathing hard. He's staring at me like he's never seen me before. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe I've never seen myself either. Get out. My voice is steady now, certain. This is my house too. Not anymore. I hold up one final document, power of attorney, signed last year when he was too busy to handle our estate planning. You should really read what you sign, Ryan. Now get out before I call Michael and have him escort you out. He leaves. Not because he's afraid, but because he knows this is just the beginning. He knows me well enough for that. I pick up the photo album from the floor, trace our younger faces with my finger. We look so happy, so innocent. Such perfect liars, all of us. The cafe where Megan and I used to share secrets feels smaller now. Maybe it's the weight of what I'm about to do, or maybe everything from my past is shrinking, becoming less significant with each new betrayal I uncover. Megan slides into the seat across from me, still wearing her wedding ring. My wedding ring's twin. The sight of it makes my coffee taste like acid. "I didn't think you'd come," she says, fingers nervously tracing the rim of her untouched latte. "Funny, I didn't think you'd marry my husband." The words come out softer than intended, which somehow makes them cut deeper. She flinches. "Eleanor, did you know about the trust fund?" I pull out the bank statements, sliding them across the table like playing cards in a rigged game. "The one Laura set up for your future children?" Her face drains of color. Not from guilt, from anger. Interesting. "What trust fund?" Now that's genuine surprise. I watch her scan the documents, her hands shaking slightly. $3 million, I continue. "Set aside for the grandchildren Laura always wanted. Guess I wasn't producing them fast enough." "This can't be right." Megan pushes the papers away like they're contaminated. "Ryan said the marriage was just a formality, for his inheritance. He said—" I laugh, and it sounds like breaking glass. "What exactly did he say, Megan? That he loved you? That I was cold, distant, career-obsessed? That's what he told his mother about me last month." She looks up sharply. "How do you know that?" "Because I've spent the last week discovering just how thoroughly my husband, our husband, has been playing us both." The waiter approaches. We both wave him away without looking up. "There's more," I continue, pulling out my phone. "Want to hear the recording of Ryan discussing property investments with Laura? The ones using your family's real estate connections?" "My family's—" Megan's voice trails off. Her mother, Grace, owns one of the largest real estate firms in Boston. A detail Ryan knew well before he ever asked me out. "Did you ever wonder why he chose us?" The question hangs between us like smoke. The two best friends who'd never betray each other? The perfect cover story. "Stop!" Megan stands up so quickly her chair scrapes against the floor. "You're trying to hurt me because I hurt you. I get it. I deserve it, but—" "Sit down." My voice doesn't waver. "You haven't heard the best part yet." She sits, more from shock at my tone than obedience. "Remember that summer internship Ryan helped you get at Grace's firm? The one that convinced your mother he was such a wonderful guy?" I slide one more document across the table. "Look at the date on that property transfer." Her hands shake as she reads. "This is my mother's signature, but she would never sell her prime development property for half its value. She didn't know she did. Check the witness signatures." Megan's face crumples as she recognizes her own handwriting. "I was just notarizing documents. Ryan said it was practice for my license. While I was planning our wedding, you were unknowingly helping him steal from your own mother." The truth tastes bitter on my tongue. "He played us both, Megan. The only difference is, I figured it out before he could take everything." She looks up at me, really looks at me, for the first time since she sat down. "What are you going to do?" I stand up, gathering the documents. Wrong question. The real question is, what are we going to do? "We?" "You have two choices. Keep playing his game and lose everything, or help me take him down." I pull out one final document, a USB drive containing everything I've discovered. Your mother's company, my savings, Laura's reputation. He's built his entire plan on the assumption that we'd never compare notes. Megan stares at the drive like it might bite her. If this gets out, everything burns. I place my hand over hers, feeling the wedding ring that matches mine. But this time, we'll be the ones holding the matches. She closes her fingers around the drive, and I see a glimpse of the friend I used to know. Fierce, loyal, unstoppable when crossed. When do we start? I smile, and for the first time in weeks, it feels real. We already have. 3 empty wine bottles mock me from the kitchen counter. Not my usual poison, but tonight isn't usual. The documents from Ryan's office are spread across our dining room table, our wedding gift from Laura, like pieces of a puzzle I never wanted to solve. My phone lights up. Another message from Ryan. Please, let's talk about this rationally. Rational. Like the systematic way he built this house of lies. Like the calculated precision with which he chose his marks. The phone buzzes again. Megan this time. Grace is asking questions. We need to move faster. I switch it off, but my hands won't stop shaking. The magnitude of what we're planning finally hits me. This isn't just about exposing Ryan anymore. We're talking about destroying families, reputations, lives. The doorbell rings. For a moment, I consider ignoring it, but then I hear the key in the lock. Only one person besides Ryan has that key. Jesus, Eli. Michael steps into the dining room, taking in the chaos. When's the last time you slept? I wave vaguely at the papers. Did you know Ryan's father killed himself? Michael freezes. What? 10 years ago, right after Ryan graduated law school. I hold up the newspaper clipping I found buried in Laura's financial records. Officially, it was a hunting accident. Unofficially, I push forward a stack of bank statements. He discovered Laura and Ryan had been embezzling from his company for years. Christ. Michael sinks into a chair. Does anyone else know? Just the person who's been sending me anonymous tips. I tap the burner phone on the table. They sent me this today. Copies of William Mitchell's suicide note. He tried to stop them, Michael. He tried to expose them, and they... My voice cracks. Eli. Michael reaches for my hand, but I pull away. I'm becoming them. The words taste like ash. All these plans for revenge, for justice. I'm turning into exactly what I hate. No, you're not. Michael's voice is firm. You're protecting people. Grace's company, your future, Megan's... Am I? I stand up, pacing. Or am I just so focused on destroying Ryan that I don't care who gets caught in the crossfire? Because right now, I'm sitting here planning to expose everything at the family reunion, knowing it will devastate people who had nothing to do with this. Like who? Like Ryan's sister's kids, who'll lose their college fund when I expose Laura's financial schemes. Like Grace's employees, who might lose their jobs if the company's reputation tanks. I grab one of the wine bottles, not caring that it's empty. Like William Mitchell, who died trying to do the right thing while I'm plotting elaborate revenge scenarios like some comic book villain. Michael is quiet for a long moment. Then he stands up and takes the bottle from my hand. You want to know the difference between you and them? I look away, but he continues. You're standing here at 3 a.m, torturing yourself about the moral implications of your actions. They're sleeping peacefully, counting their money and planning their next con. That doesn't make it right. No, it doesn't. He starts gathering the papers, organizing them methodically. But it means you have a choice. You can expose everything dramatically at the reunion like you planned, or what? Or we do this the right way. Legally. Carefully. He holds up William Mitchell's suicide note. We finish what Ryan's father started, but we do it smart. We protect the innocent parties first. The burner phone buzzes. Another message from the anonymous source. Ask Laura about the offshore accounts. I stare at the message, then at the chaos spread across my dining room table. 7 years of marriage, a lifetime of friendship, generations of lies, all leading to this moment. Okay, I say finally. Show me how to do this right. Michael nods, pulling out his phone. First, We need to talk to someone who specializes in financial fraud. I know a guy. Wait! I grab his arm. Before we do this, I need to know something. Are you helping me because I'm right? Or just because I'm your sister? He meets my eyes steadily. Both. And neither. I'm helping you because someone needs to stop them, and you're strong enough to do it without becoming them. I look at the empty wine bottles, the scattered papers, the evidence of my near descent into their world of manipulation and revenge. Maybe he's right. Maybe there's a better way to burn it all down. Michael's lawyer friend keeps talking, but I'm fixated on the single sheet of paper in front of me. A list of names, children, mostly. Beneficiaries of trusts that would collapse if we moved forward with our plan. The offshore accounts are just the beginning, James Harrison says, spreading more documents across his mahogany desk. Laura Mitchell's financial web extends through at least 3 generations of both families. How many people would be affected? My voice sounds distant, even to myself. Directly? Around 30. Indirectly? He shrugs. We're talking about dismantling a decades-long scheme. The ripple effects could impact hundreds. Michael leans forward. But we can prove the fraud. Easily. The question is whether we should. James taps the list of names. Some of these trust funds are supporting medical care, education. Stop. I stand up abruptly, moving to the window. Boston spreads out below, oblivious to the bomb we're about to detonate. There has to be another way. My phone buzzes. Megan. Grace found the missing property documents. She's calling Laura today. We're running out of time, Michael says, reading over my shoulder. If Grace confronts Laura directly, everything falls apart anyway. I turn back to James. How long would it take to secure protection for the innocent parties? Weeks, maybe months. We'd need to... The office door bursts open. Laura Mitchell stands there, immaculate as always, but her eyes are wild. I should have known you'd run to Michael. How did you... James starts. My daughter works in your building, James. Did Eleanor tell you that part? How many families she's willing to destroy for her revenge? That's rich, coming from you. Michael stands, moving between us. Laura ignores him, focusing on me. You think you're protecting people? William thought the same thing. Look where that got him. The room goes silent. Even the city noise seems to fade. What did you just say? My hands grip the back of the chair, knuckles white. Oh, didn't your anonymous friend tell you everything? Laura's smile is razor sharp. William didn't just discover our schemes. He tried to fix them. Reroute funds to protect the beneficiaries, just like you're planning. And you stopped him. The pieces click into place. The hunting accident was exactly that, an accident. But her eyes shift away. The point is, Eleanor, some structures can't be dismantled without destroying everything they support. You're not just fighting Ryan or me. You're fighting generations of carefully balanced arrangements. Arrangements built on lies and theft. Built on necessity. Laura moves closer. Did Ryan tell you why he married you? Your family's political connections. 3 generations of judges and prosecutors. The perfect shield. My phone buzzes again. Grace's name appears on the screen. Take the call, Laura says softly. Listen to Grace discover what her daughter's been hiding. Watch another family shatter. Or... She pulls out an envelope. We can discuss alternatives. Eli, don't. Michael starts. What alternatives? My voice is steady, but my heart hammers against my ribs. A clean break. Generous settlement. The innocent parties stay protected. Laura sets the envelope on James's desk. Everyone wins. Everyone except justice, Michael snaps. Justice? Laura laughs. Ask Eleanor what she really wants. Justice or peace? My phone keeps buzzing. Megan's messages join Grace's calls. The list of names stares up at me from the desk. Children, families, futures. How long do I have to decide? The words taste like surrender. Until Grace finishes reading those documents. Laura moves to the door. Choose wisely, Eleanor. Unlike William, you still have a choice. She leaves, and the office feels both larger and more suffocating. You can't seriously be considering this, Michael says. I pick up the list of names, then my still buzzing phone. What if she's right? What if trying to fix this just makes everything worse? That's fear talking, not justice. Maybe. I look at James. But what if fear is trying to tell us something important? The phone buzzes one final time, then falls silent. Whatever Grace discovered, it's too late to stop it now. I pick up Laura's envelope, feeling the weight of decisions not yet made. I need to talk to Megan, I say finally, before we decide anything else. Because sometimes I'm learning, revenge isn't about who you're willing to hurt, but who you're willing to save. The Mitchell family estate looms before me, its windows glowing like warning beacons in the dusk. Cars line the circular driveway, all the players assembled for what they think is a surprise anniversary party for Laura and her second husband. Last chance to back out. Michael stands beside me, holding the briefcase containing everything, every document, every recording, every piece of evidence we've gathered. They're already inside. Megan appears at my other shoulder, her voice tight. Grace is with them. Ryan's watching the door like a hawk. I adjust my black dress. Funeral appropriate, though they don't know that yet. Did you secure the exits? James has people stationed at every door. Michael checks his watch. Once you start, no one leaves until everything's exposed. The weight of Laura's envelope presses against my ribs, tucked into my dress. Her offer of silence, of protection for the innocent, still unopened. Still a possibility. We enter through the kitchen, where caterers bustle around unaware they're serving the last supper of the Mitchell dynasty. Ryan spots me immediately, his face flickering between relief and suspicion. Eleanor? He moves toward me, champagne glass in hand. I didn't think you'd come. And Miss Laura's party? My smile feels like broken glass. Wouldn't dream of it. His eyes dart to the briefcase, to Megan, to Michael. I see the moment he realizes something's wrong, but Laura's voice cuts through the murmur of conversation. Everyone, please, gather in the main hall. The crowd shifts, carrying us with it. I catch glimpses of familiar faces. Grace, pale but composed. Laura's second husband, oblivious and beaming. Ryan's sister clutching her children's hands. The children. God, the children. Laura raises her glass. Thank you all for coming to... Actually, I step forward, my voice carrying across the sudden quiet. I'd like to say something first. Ryan moves toward me, but Michael blocks his path. Megan positions herself near Grace. Eleanor, Laura warns, think carefully about what you're doing. I pull out the envelope she gave me, still sealed. I have thought about it. For weeks, I've thought about nothing else. I turn to address the room. About justice and protection, about who deserves the truth and who deserves mercy. Eli, Ryan's voice holds real fear now. Whatever you think you know, I know everything. I open the briefcase, but I don't remove the documents. Not yet. About William's death, about the trust funds, about your 2 marriages and Laura's schemes, and every lie you've told to keep this house of cards standing. The room erupts in whispers. Grace steps forward, her face ashen. Megan? I'm sorry, Mom. Megan's voice breaks. I didn't know, not until Eleanor showed me. Showed you what? Ryan's sister demands. What's going on? I look at the children, their confused faces, their innocent futures hanging on my next words. Laura's envelope burns against my skin. The truth, I say softly, is that I came here tonight to destroy everything, to expose decades of fraud and manipulation, to get justice for everyone who's been hurt by the Mitchell family's lies. I pull out the first document, William's real suicide note. Laura goes very still. But standing here, looking at all of you, I meet Ryan's eyes. I realize there's something worse than being deceived, something worse than being betrayed. Eleanor? Michael warns, but I continue. It's becoming the very thing you're fighting against. I strike a match. When did I take it from my purse and touch it to Laura's envelope? The paper catches quickly, and I drop it into the briefcase. No! Michael lunges forward, but it's too late. The evidence burns, years of careful investigation turning to ash. With it burns my chance at justice, at revenge, at everything I thought I wanted. The fire alarm shrieks, sprinklers activate. People rush for the exits, pushing past James's guards in the chaos. Through the smoke and spray, I meet Laura's eyes. She knows what I've done, chosen mercy over justice, chosen to protect the innocent over punishing the guilty. But her triumphant smile fades as I pull out my phone and press send, because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't destruction, it's redemption. The police lights paint Laura's pristine kitchen in alternating red and blue. She sits across from me at the marble island, both of us dripping from the sprinklers, watching officers cart away boxes of evidence. The real evidence, not the decoy files I burned. Copies, I say quietly. Everything in that briefcase. Just copies. The originals went to the FBI an hour ago. Her perfectly manicured nails drum against her coffee cup. You chose this moment deliberately. The party, the family gathering. Like father, like daughter-in-law. I slide William's actual suicide note across the counter. He planned to expose everything at your anniversary party too, didn't he? Before the hunting accident. The drumming stops. Through the window, I see Ryan being led to a police car, Michael watching with grim satisfaction. You don't understand what you've done. Laura's voice trembles. Those trust funds are being protected. I pull out my phone, show her the court orders. Every innocent beneficiary has been legally separated from the fraudulent accounts. The children will keep their college funds. The medical care continues. For the first time, I see real fear in her eyes. How? I had 3 weeks after you offered me that envelope. 3 weeks where you thought you'd won. I lean forward. Did you really think I spent that time doing nothing? A commotion at the door draws our attention. Grace enters, flanked by federal agents. Her eyes lock with Laura's. You killed him, Grace says flatly. You killed William when he tried to protect my daughter from your schemes. Laura stands so quickly her chair topples. That's ridiculous. William was going to expose how you used Megan to access Grace's company records. I interrupt. How you manipulated Ryan into marrying us both to maintain your financial facade. Everything I did was for this family. No. Megan appears in the doorway, tear-stained but steady. Everything you did was for yourself, and now we all know why. I slide one final document across the counter, an old photograph. Laura goes very still. William wasn't just trying to expose the fraud, was he? I watch her face crumple. He discovered something else. About Ryan's real father. About why you needed the Carter family's connection so desperately. Mom? Ryan calls from outside. Mom, what's happening? Laura lunges for the photograph, but Grace is faster. Her gasp echoes in the suddenly silent kitchen. That's my father, with Laura. 37 years ago, I confirm. 9 months before Ryan was born. The truth hangs between us like smoke. Decades of manipulation, all to hide one desperate affair. To maintain the Mitchell family's perfect image. You destroyed everything. Laura whispers. Just like William tried to. No. I stand, gathering the remaining documents. You destroyed everything the moment you chose lies over love. William tried to save us, all of us. And now, finally, he has. What do you mean? I pull out my phone one last time, show her the message chain. From an unknown number. From a dead man's scheduled emails, set to deliver years after his death. William knew he might not survive trying to expose the truth, so he left breadcrumbs, for whoever was brave enough to follow them. I meet her eyes. I wasn't your first victim, Laura, but I am your last. The officers approach to escort her out. Through the window, I see Ryan watching, understanding finally dawning on his face as Grace shows him the photograph. Was it worth it? Laura asks as they lead her away. Burning down everything to save a dead man's honor? I think of the children upstairs, their futures now secure. Of Megan and Grace, finally free from manipulation. Of William, who died trying to protect us all. Some things, I say quietly, are worth burning for. The sun rises over the Mitchell estate, painting everything in gold. In the distance, sirens fade. Beside me, Michael squeezes my shoulder. You okay? I watch Laura disappear into a police car, 30 years of secrets crumbling in her wake. No, I answer honestly. But I will be. Because sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. Sometimes it just shows you who you really are. The last box from Ryan's study sits unopened on my kitchen counter. Through the window, autumn leaves scatter across my backyard, where 3 kids once promised to be friends forever. My phone buzzes. Megan. Grace wants to meet. Both of us. The trial ended yesterday. Laura and Ryan, both guilty. The headlines called it justice. The society pages called it scandal. Neither quite captured the truth. I lift the lid from the box, expecting more evidence, more secrets. Instead, I find an old video camera. The kind we used that summer before college, when everything seemed possible. The doorbell rings. Megan stands there, looking smaller somehow. More like the girl I used to know than the woman who helped unravel everything. I found mine too, she says, holding up an identical camera. In Mom's attic. We set them both on the counter, these relics of who we used to be. Neither of us reaches to turn them on. Did you read Ryan's statement? She asks. No. I pour us both coffee. A habit from before, when friendship was simple. Did you? He said he loved us both. Her laugh sounds brittle. Actually believed it, I think. That's Ryan. I slide her cup across the counter. Living his own truth, even when it's a lie. The afternoon light catches the cameras, casting twin shadows. Megan touches one gently. We should watch them, she says. Before Grace arrives, before we decide what happens next. She nods. We both know Grace's meeting isn't just about reconciliation. It's about the future of her company, about trust and second chances, about whether some bridges can be rebuilt after they've burned. I connect the first camera to my laptop. The screen flickers to life. There we are, young, laughing, whole. Ryan behind the camera, narrating our last summer together, before college, before choices, before we learned how love and lies could wear the same face. Stop, Megan says suddenly. Look at that moment. The frame freezes on our younger selves, sharing some forgotten joke. But it's Ryan's reflection in the window that catches my eye. The way he watches us both. Planning, even then. He didn't destroy us, I realize. He just showed us who we already were. What do you mean? You always wanted adventure. I always needed control. He just weaponized those truths. Megan's coffee goes cold, untouched. And now? The second camera sits dark, unwatched. Some truths, I'm learning, don't need to be seen to be understood. Now we choose, I say. Not between right and wrong, between easy and true. The doorbell rings again. Grace. Before Megan moves to answer, she grips my hand. I'm sorry, she whispers. Not for loving him, for forgetting how to love you first. I squeeze back, remembering Laura's final words at the trial. Love makes liars of us all. Maybe, I tell Megan, we stop trying to fix the past. Maybe we just build something new. She nods, understanding what I'm not saying. About Grace's company, about second chances, about how sometimes revenge isn't about destroying what was, but creating what could be. I open the door to Grace, noting how she carries herself now, straighter, stronger, free from decades of manipulation. The autumn wind scatters more leaves across the yard. Somewhere in a prison cell, Laura plots her appeals. In another, Ryan writes letters we'll never read. Life moves forward, messy and imperfect. I leave the cameras on the counter, untouched. Some memories don't need revisiting. Some truths are better lived than remembered. Grace spreads papers across my kitchen table, plans for rebuilding, for moving forward. Megan and I exchange glances, remembering other papers, other plans, other choices. Ready? Grace asks. I think of William, setting truth bombs to detonate years after his death. Of Laura, building walls to protect secrets that were never worth keeping. Of Ryan, loving so desperately he forgot how to love honestly. Yes, I say and mean it. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting free.
The numbers jumped out at me like accusatory fingers from my laptop screen. $300,000. That's how much money had vanished from the Research Foundation's accounts over the past year. I rubbed my tired eyes, double-checking the spreadsheet I'd been analyzing for the past 6 hours. The trail led straight to my mother. My name is Reagan, and I've spent my entire life being the responsible one, the quiet one, the one who follows the rules. While my stepsister Annabelle dazzled at charity galas and social events, I buried myself in research papers and data analysis. It wasn't that I minded. I loved my work. But tonight, everything changed. Still here? Jasper's voice made me jump. He leaned against my office doorframe, his coffee mug steaming in the dim light. It's almost midnight, Reagan. Whatever you're working on can wait until morning. I shook my head, my fingers trembling as I turned the laptop toward him. Look at this. The Foundation's quarterly reports don't match the bank statements. Someone's been siphoning money from the research grants. Jasper set his coffee down and leaned over my shoulder, his brow furrowing as he scanned the numbers. Are you sure about this? The signatures, the approval stamps, they all lead back to the Foundation's board treasurer. My voice cracked. My mother. The same mother who'd spent 20 years reminding me I wasn't as naturally gifted as Annabelle. The same woman who'd turned every one of my academic achievements into a conversation about my stepsister's latest modeling campaign or charity event. My phone buzzed, speaking of the devil. A text from Annabelle. Mom's going crazy planning next month's gala. Says you have to come this time. No excuses. Jasper squeezed my shoulder. What are you going to do? I closed my laptop, my decision crystallizing. I'm going to that gala, but not for the reasons they think. The next morning, I arrived at the Foundation's offices earlier than usual. My mother's assistant, Sarah, was already at her desk, organizing the day's schedule. Reagan, what brings you to the administrative floor? Sarah's smile was genuine. She'd always been kind to me. Just needed to drop off some research proposals, I lied smoothly. Is my mother in? She's meeting with Trevor, Annabelle's fiancé. Something about the gala sponsorships. Perfect. I slipped into my mother's empty office, my heart pounding as I connected my USB drive to her computer. The encryption software I'd installed would give me remote access to her files. What exactly are you looking for? Jasper asked later that afternoon, as we combed through the downloaded data. Proof, transactions, anything that shows... I stopped, staring at a new email thread. Here, look at this correspondence with Trevor's investment firm. They're using the gala to launder money through fake charitable donations. Jasper whistled low. Your mother and future brother-in-law are quite the team. while Annabelle plays the perfect socialite daughter, completely unaware she's being used as their cover. The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. My phone rang. My mother this time. I answered, keeping my voice steady. "Darling, I need you at the dress fitting tomorrow. Annabelle's chosen the most stunning gown for the gala, and we simply must find you something appropriate." I could hear the implied criticism, appropriate meaning understated, forgettable, nothing that would overshadow her golden child. "Of course, Mother. I wouldn't miss it." After hanging up, I turned to Jasper. I've spent my whole life being the good daughter, the quiet one, the one who never caused trouble. But they crossed a line. This money was meant for medical research, for helping people. "What's your plan?" I pulled up the gala guest list on my screen. Board members, donors, press. The perfect audience, don't you think? Mother always taught us that presentation is everything. Jasper's eyes widened as he realized what I was suggesting. "Reagan, this could destroy your family." I thought about the patients waiting for the research grants that never came, about the scientists whose projects were shelved because the funding mysteriously dried up. I thought about years of being made to feel less than, of watching my mother's casual corruption hiding behind Annabelle's perfect smile. "No," I said, my voice stronger than I'd ever heard it. "This will free my family. They just don't know it yet." I started gathering the evidence into a presentation, my hands steady for the first time in days. The gala was in 3 weeks, just enough time to ensure every detail was perfect. Mother always said I had a talent for detailed analysis. Time to show her just how right she was. "These donation records don't make any sense," Jasper said, spreading printouts across my desk. "Look at this one. $500,000 from a company that doesn't even exist." I leaned closer, scanning the documents. The past week had been a blur of late nights and coffee-fueled investigation sessions. Shell companies. They're all shell companies, aren't they? Your mother's clever. I'll give her that. Jasper pulled up another spreadsheet. But she made one mistake. She got greedy. A knock at my office door made us both jump. Annabelle stood there, looking perfectly put together as always in her designer outfit. "Surprise! I brought lunch." I scrambled to close the laptop while Jasper casually swept the papers into a folder. Annabelle set down a paper bag from my favorite deli, her expression curious. "Am I interrupting something? You two look like teenagers caught making out behind the bleachers." "Just boring research stuff," I said quickly. "What brings you here? Can't a sister bring lunch without an ulterior motive?" She perched on the edge of my desk, her perfectly manicured fingers drumming against the wood. "Although, Mother's driving me crazy with this gala planning. I could use a break." Jasper cleared his throat. "I should get back to my lab." After he left, Annabelle's carefully maintained smile faltered. "Trevor's been acting weird lately. Secretive. Always on the phone with Mother." My heart skipped a beat. "Oh? I mean, I know they're working on gala stuff, but..." She shrugged, trying to look nonchalant. "Sometimes I feel like I'm just a prop in their perfect little world." For the first time, I really looked at my stepsister. Behind the flawless makeup and practiced smile, I saw something familiar, the same trapped feeling I'd been fighting all these years. "Annabelle," I started, but my phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "Your mother's looking for the Foundation's audit reports. Says you have them?" "I should go." Annabelle stood up. "Photo shoot for the gala invitations. Mother insists on capturing the perfect family moment." She rolled her eyes. After she left, I called Jasper. "We need to move faster. Mother's looking for the audit reports." "Already on it. Meet me at the coffee house in 20 minutes. The cafe was busy enough to mask our conversation. Jasper slid a USB drive across the table. I traced the shell companies. They all lead back to Trevor's investment firm, but here's where it gets interesting. The money's being routed through offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. Classic. I took a sip of my Americano. But why? Mother's salary is more than generous. That's not all. Jasper lowered his voice. I found emails between your mother and Trevor discussing something called Project Legacy. They're planning to announce it at the gala. My phone lit up with a text from Mother. "Darling, don't forget. Dress fitting tomorrow at 10. And please do something with your hair this time." I ignored it. What's Project Legacy? From what I can piece together, they're planning to restructure the foundation, move all research funding to approved projects only, meaning projects that funnel money back to them. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. They're not just stealing from existing grants, they're setting up a permanent pipeline. Using Annabelle's public image as cover, Jasper added. The perfect charitable face for their scheme. I thought about Annabelle's earlier words, about feeling like a prop. She has no idea, does she? Speaking of no idea, Jasper nodded toward the cafe entrance. Trevor had just walked in with my mother. We ducked behind our menus, but they were too absorbed in their conversation to notice us. They sat at a table near enough that snippets of their discussion drifted over. The announcement will be perfect, my mother was saying. Annabelle on stage, presenting our vision for the foundation's future. And the old guard won't know what hit them, Trevor replied with a smirk. I felt sick. They were going to use Annabelle to announce their own corrupt scheme, making her an unwitting accomplice. Back in my office, I pulled up the gala preparations folder on my laptop. Mother had already scripted everything, the speeches, the photo ops, even the exact moment Annabelle would announce Project Legacy. We can't let this happen, I told Jasper over the phone that evening. They're not just stealing money anymore. They're trying to legitimize their corruption. What's our next move? I stared at the gala invitation on my desk, featuring a photo of Annabelle's smiling face. We need to talk to Sarah. She handles all the foundation's correspondence. She must have seen something. That's risky. She's your mother's right hand. True. I picked up the invitation. But Sarah's always had a soft spot for me. And more importantly, she believes in what the foundation is supposed to stand for. Be careful, Reagan. The closer we get to the gala, the more dangerous this becomes. I thought about Annabelle, about all the researchers counting on these grants, about years of watching my mother's casual corruption destroy everything she touched. Some things are worth the risk. Sarah's hands shook as she handed me the stack of documents. I always knew something wasn't right, but this... She glanced nervously at my mother's empty office across the hall. If she finds out I showed you these... She won't, I assured her, quickly photographing each page with my phone. You're doing the right thing. The foundation board meeting minutes, Sarah whispered. Your mother's been doctoring them for months. The real versions are very different from what she's been presenting. A door slammed somewhere down the hall. Sarah jumped, snatching the papers back. Go, now. I slipped out just as Trevor's voice echoed through the corridor. Paula, we need to discuss the announcement. I ducked into the stairwell, pressing myself against the wall as their voices drifted down. Everything's arranged, my mother said. Once Project Legacy is announced, the board won't have a choice. The press will be there, the major donors. And Annabelle? She'll do exactly what she's told. She always does. Their footsteps faded. I waited until the coast was clear, then rushed to Jasper's lab. You look like you've seen a ghost, he said, pulling me inside. Better. I connected my phone to his computer. Sarah came through. Look at these meeting minutes. Mother's been systematically misleading the board about where the money's going. Jasper scrolled through the photos. This is huge, Reagan. With this evidence, the lab door burst open. Annabelle stood there, mascara streaking her cheeks. I need to talk to you. Jasper and I exchanged panicked looks. How much had she heard? Trevor's cheating on me, she blurted out. Not what I was expecting. What? How do you know? I found messages on his phone, but it's worse than that. She collapsed into a chair. He's been meeting with Mother almost every day, planning something big. Something about the foundation. I caught Jasper's eye. He nodded slightly. Annabelle, I said carefully, what do you know about Project Legacy? Her perfectly plucked eyebrows drew together. The new charitable initiative? Mother says I'm announcing it at the gala. Some kind of restructuring to make the foundation more efficient. She paused. Why? Because it's a lie. The words tumbled out before I could stop them. The whole thing is a front for embezzlement. Mother and Trevor have been stealing from research grants, and they're planning to use you to make it all look legitimate. Annabelle stared at me, then laughed shakily. That's ridiculous. Mother would never. I mean, she's always been about appearances, but look. I pulled up the evidence on Jasper's computer. These are the real numbers, the shell companies, the offshore accounts. As Annabelle read, her face went from disbelief to horror to anger. All those times they were planning the gala together. They were planning this? They're going to have you announce it, Jasper said gently. Make you the face of their scheme. Annabelle stood up abruptly, pacing the lab. I always knew Mother was controlling, but this? Using me to steal from sick people? She whirled to face me. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Would you have believed me? I asked quietly. Over Mother? She stopped pacing. No, probably not. A bitter laugh escaped her. God, I've been so stupid. The perfect daughter doing exactly what she's told. My phone buzzed, a text from Sarah. Your mother's looking for the original meeting minutes. She knows something's wrong. We need to move fast, I told them. Mother suspects something's up. What are you planning to do? Annabelle asked. Expose everything, at the gala. You'll destroy her. She destroyed herself. I hesitated. But I can't do it alone. I need your help. Annabelle was quiet for a long moment, twisting her engagement ring around her finger. Finally, she pulled it off and set it on Jasper's desk with a decisive click. Count me in. Her voice was steel. Nobody uses me as a prop in their corruption scheme. Not even Mother. Jasper cleared his throat. Not to interrupt this touching sister moment, but we have another problem. Look at this email I just found. We crowded around his computer. Mother had sent instructions to the Foundation's IT department to wipe certain servers, scheduled for the day before the gala. She's covering her tracks, I said. Then we better make sure we have everything we need before she does. Annabelle pulled out her phone. I know Mother's passwords, all of them. She made me memorize them in case of emergencies. For the first time since this began, I felt real hope. Together we might actually pull this off. The gala's in 2 weeks, Jasper reminded us. Annabelle's smile was fierce. Perfect. Just enough time to plan our own little announcement. Smile, darling. You look like you're at a funeral. Mother adjusted my dress for the 10th time as the boutique's seamstress pinned the hem. The gala is a celebration, not a wake, if she only knew. I forced a smile, catching Annabelle's eye in the mirror. My stepsister was perched on a velvet settee, pretending to scroll through her phone while actually recording every word. The press will be there, Mother continued, fussing with my hair. The governor, key donors, everything must be perfect. She turned to Annabelle. Darling, have you memorized your speech for the Project Legacy announcement? Every word, Mother. Annabelle's voice was honey-sweet, though I was thinking of adding my own personal touch. Mother's smile tightened. Stick to the script, dear. This isn't the time for improvisation. The seamstress finished her work, and Mother swept out to take a call, leaving Annabelle and me alone in the fitting room. Did you get that? I whispered. Annabelle played back the recording. Mother's voice rang clear. The governor's office has already approved the restructuring. Once the announcement is made, it's a done deal. Another piece of evidence. I stepped down from the platform, careful of the pins. How are things with Trevor? He's suspicious, keeps asking if I've talked to you lately. She lowered her voice. Last night, I found him going through my laptop. Did he find anything? Please. She rolled her eyes. I learned from the best. Mother taught me everything about keeping secrets. Her smile turned bitter. Ironic, isn't it? The boutique door chimed. Jasper walked in, pretending to be lost. Sir, this is a private fitting, the saleswoman began. Oh, Jasper, Annabelle called out. Right on time to help with color choices. Mother returned just then, her face darkening at the sight of him. What is he doing here? I invited him, Annabelle said smoothly. We need a man's opinion, don't we? And since Trevor's so busy with foundation work? Mother's expression shifted from annoyance to satisfaction. Of course, dear, though perhaps someone more qualified. Actually, Jasper interrupted, I came to discuss the latest grant applications with Reagan. Time-sensitive matters. Work, 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 Mother sighed. Reagan, dear, you really must learn to separate your professional and personal life. The gala is in 10 days, I finished. I know, Mother. Everything will be perfect. After Mother left to berate the saleswoman about something, Jasper pulled out his phone. Sarah came through again. Look what she found in the Foundation's archived emails. I looked at the screen, my breath catching. There it was, the original proposal for Project Legacy, dated 2 years ago. But instead of a charitable initiative, it outlined a complex scheme to redirect research funds through private investments. Mother's been planning this for years, Annabelle whispered, reading over my shoulder. There's more, Jasper said. Trevor's firm isn't just managing the money, they're creating fake research projects to justify the funding transfers. The boutique door chimed again. Trevor walked in. Hide the phone, I hissed. Annabelle immediately draped herself on Trevor's arm, playing the adoring fiancé. Darling, what a surprise. We were just discussing the gala. Were you? Trevor's eyes flickered between us. With him? He nodded toward Jasper. Fashion emergency, Jasper said dryly. Apparently, I have an eye for color. Annabelle, Trevor said, his voice tight. A word? They stepped aside, but not far enough that we couldn't hear. Your mother's worried, Trevor muttered. Says you've been distant, asking strange questions about the Foundation. I'm just trying to understand my role better, Annabelle replied, for the announcement. Stick to the script. The same words Mother had used. There's too much at stake. After they left, Jasper turned to me. They're getting nervous. Good. I checked my phone. A new message from Sarah. Your mother just called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow. Something about security concerns. She's moving faster than we expected, Jasper said. We need to be ready. I looked at my reflection in the fitting room mirror. The perfect daughter in the perfect dress for the perfect gala. Mother had spent years crafting this image, using both Annabelle and me as pieces in her elaborate game. Reagan? Jasper touched my arm. Are you sure about this? Once we do this, there's no going back. I'm sure. I smoothed down the dress. Mother always taught us that presentation is everything. Time to show her just how well we learned that lesson. The board meeting tomorrow, he said. If she's planning what I think she is, then we'll be ready. I picked up my phone to text Annabelle. Tell Trevor you're spending the night reviewing your speech. Meet us at my place at 8. The response came immediately. I'll bring wine. We're going to need it. The pieces were in place. Now we just had to survive the next 10 days. The board meeting was a disaster, Sarah whispered into her phone. I had her on speaker as Annabelle, Jasper, and I huddled around my kitchen table. Your mother's convinced there's a leak. She's ordered a complete system lockdown. Can you still access the files? I asked, watching Jasper type frantically on his laptop. No, but... Sarah lowered her voice further. I made copies, everything. I'll leave them in the usual place. After hanging up, Annabelle poured more wine into our glasses. Mother called me 3 times today. She wants me to move the Project Legacy announcement to the beginning of the gala, instead of after dinner. She's rushing it, Jasper said, still typing, trying to get ahead of any potential exposure. My phone buzzed. Trevor calling. I showed the screen to Annabelle. Don't answer, she said. He's been watching me like a hawk. Yesterday, he followed me to the grocery store. We need to move faster. I pulled up our evidence folder. Sarah's copies will be the final piece. Once we have those... A knock at my door made us all freeze. Through the peephole, I saw Mother standing there, perfectly coiffed, despite the late hour. Places, everyone, I whispered. Jasper grabbed his laptop and slipped into my bedroom, while Annabelle quickly hid the documents under my couch cushions. I opened the door. Mother, it's almost midnight. Can't a mother check on her daughters? She swept in, taking in the wine glasses and Annabelle's presence with sharp eyes. A little late for a social call, isn't it? Wedding jitters, Annabelle said smoothly. I needed sister time. Mother's smile didn't reach her eyes. How sweet. Though I hope these sisterly bonding sessions aren't distracting you from your speech preparation. Actually, I interjected, I've been helping her practice. Want to hear it? You? Mother's laugh was like breaking glass. Darling, no offense, but public speaking has never been your strong suit. Remember your high school graduation? That awkward valedictorian speech? Annabelle stood up. Mother, stop it. Reagan's been incredibly helpful. Has she? Mother's gaze swept the room. And what else has your sister been helping with? The temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Before anyone could respond, a toilet flushed, Jasper's signal that he'd finished wiping his laptop's search history. Mother's eyes narrowed. Do you have company? Just me. Jasper emerged, the picture of casual innocence. Late-night research consultation. You know how it is with grant deadlines. Indeed. Mother's voice could have frozen hell. Reagan, darling, a word in private? She led me to the kitchen, her manicured nails digging into my arm. Whatever you think you're doing, stop it, now. I don't know what you mean. Don't play dumb. It doesn't suit you. She leaned closer. You've always been the smart one, haven't you? Hidden away in your lab, watching, analyzing. But this time you're out of your depth. Am I? The foundation is my life's work. I won't let anyone destroy that. Not even you. Her smile turned predatory. Did you really think I wouldn't notice the server access logs? The copied files? My heart stopped. Mother. I'm moving the announcement to tomorrow night. She released my arm. A private preview event. Just key stakeholders and family. No press, no distractions. That's not the plan, Annabelle said from the doorway. The gala... Plans change, darling. Be ready at 7. Mother headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Reagan, I've suspended your lab's funding. Pending review, of course. We can't be too careful with security concerns. After she left, we all stared at each other in shocked silence. She knows, Jasper said, emerging from the bedroom. She's cutting us off at the knees. Not yet. I pulled out my phone. Sarah, change of plans. We need those files tonight. The security guards. I don't care. Mother's moving everything up. Tomorrow night. Annabelle was already grabbing her coat. I'll create a distraction at the foundation. Say I need to practice in the event space. I'll handle the tech side, Jasper added. If she's locked down the servers, there might still be a backdoor through the backup systems. My phone buzzed with a text from Trevor. Whatever you're planning, don't. Some things are bigger than family. He's right, I said, showing them the message. This is bigger than family. That's exactly why we have to do it. Annabelle grabbed her keys. Meet at the foundation in 30 minutes, back entrance. As they left, I looked at the wine glasses on my table, evidence of our conspiracy. Mother had taught us well, about appearances, about secrets, about power. But she'd forgotten one crucial lesson. The student sometimes surpasses the teacher. The foundation's preview event buzzed with nervous energy. Board members mingled with investors, their champagne glasses clinking like wind chimes before a storm. Mother held court near the podium, resplendent in midnight blue, while Trevor hovered nearby, checking his phone every 30 seconds. Stop fidgeting, Mother hissed as I passed. And for heaven's sake, fix your hair. I touched the USB drive hidden in my clutch, remembering last night's frantic operation. Sarah had come through. The files were devastating. Mother had no idea we'd managed to access them just hours before her system purge. 5 minutes until the announcement, Trevor announced, his voice carrying across the room. Everyone, please take your seats. Annabelle appeared at my elbow, looking stunning in emerald green. Ready? Sarah's in position? Broadcasting everything to the main foundation servers. She squeezed my hand. Once this starts, there's no stopping it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mother took the stage, practically glowing. Thank you all for joining us on such short notice. Tonight marks a new chapter in our foundation's history. I slipped away toward the AV booth while she spoke, my heart thundering. Jasper was already there, pretending to adjust sound levels. Cameras are live, he whispered. Every board member got an anonymous email link. They're all watching the live stream on their phones. And the backup? Running. Even if they cut the power, everything's being recorded to external servers. Mother's voice filled the room. And now, I'm thrilled to introduce my daughter, Annabelle, who will share our vision for Project Legacy. Applause erupted as Annabelle took the stage. She looked perfectly poised, exactly as Mother had trained her to be, but I saw her hands shaking as she gripped the podium. "Thank you, Mother." Annabelle's voice was clear and strong. "Before I begin, I'd like to share something personal." Mother's smile flickered. This wasn't in the script. All my life I've been the face of this foundation, the perfect daughter, the charitable socialite, the cover story. Annabelle paused. But tonight, I'm choosing to be something else, honest. Trevor started moving toward the stage. I nodded to Jasper, who clicked a button. The screens behind Annabelle lit up with financial records, email chains, offshore account details. Project Legacy isn't about charity, Annabelle continued as gasps filled the room. It's about greed, corruption, stealing from the sick and desperate to line private pockets. "That's enough!" Mother's voice cracked like a whip. "Security!" I stepped onto the stage beside my sister. "The evidence has already been sent to the FBI, Mother, and the press. Sarah's broadcasting this live to every major news outlet." The room erupted in chaos. Board members jumped to their feet, phones recording everything. Trevor tried to reach the AV booth, but Jasper had locked the door. "You ungrateful little—" Mother lunged for the podium, but Annabelle stood her ground. $300,000 from the Cancer Research Fund, Annabelle read from the screen. $500,000 from pediatric studies, all funneled through Trevor's investment firm into private accounts. "You have no idea what you're doing," Mother snarled. "The people we answer to? Will all be investigated," I finished. "Every shell company, every fake grant, every donor who helped you steal from sick children." Trevor finally reached the stage. "Paula, we need to leave. Now." But Mother wasn't finished. She grabbed the microphone. "Everything I did was for this foundation, for our family's legacy." "No," Annabelle's voice cut through the chaos. "It was for you, always for you, using me as your perfect distraction while you robbed the people we promised to help." Security guards appeared at the doors, but they weren't Mother's. Sarah had called in the real police. "Paula Horton?" An officer approached the stage. "We need you to come with us." The look Mother gave me could have melted steel. "I gave you everything, both of you. This is how you repay me?" "You gave us lessons in manipulation and lies," I said. "Consider this our final exam." As they led Mother and Trevor away, the board members crowded around us, demanding explanations. Phones kept recording, questions flew from all directions. Through it all, Annabelle held my hand, both of us standing tall. "Miss Horton?" A reporter had somehow gotten in. "What happens to the foundation now?" I looked at Annabelle, who nodded. "We start over, transparently, honestly, the way it always should have been. And Project Legacy," someone called out, "will be exactly what it claims to be," Annabelle answered. "A fresh start, a true legacy of helping others, not helping ourselves." As the chaos continued around us, Jasper appeared at my side. "You did it." "We did it," I corrected, watching Mother's perfect world crumble. "All of us." The truth was out. The storm had broken. And somehow, standing in the wreckage of our mother's empire, I felt lighter than I had in years. The police station buzzed with activity as Mother sat across from us, her designer outfit wrinkled from hours in holding. Her makeup had smeared, but her eyes remained sharp as razors. "You've made your point," she said coldly. "Now drop the charges." Annabelle laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "Drop the charges. The FBI has already seized the foundation's accounts. Trevor's singing like a bird to save himself. It's over, Mother." "Over?" Mother leaned forward. "Do you have any idea how many lives you've ruined? The connections you've severed? The donors?" "The donors are cooperating with the investigation," I cut in. "Turns out nobody wants to be connected to a charity fraud scandal." The detective entered, placing a thick file on the table. "Mrs. Horton, we've found additional accounts in the Cayman Islands. Care to explain?" Mother's lawyer touched her arm. "My client exercises her right to remain silent." "That's a first," Annabelle muttered. We watched as Mother was led back to her cell. Through the window, I could see reporters camped outside the station, hungry for updates on the scandal that had rocked the city's philanthropic community. "Miss Horton?" The detective addressed me. We'll need your statement about when you first discovered the discrepancies. For the next 2 hours, I walked them through everything. The missing research funds, the shell companies, the fake grants. Annabelle added her own testimony about Trevor's involvement and the planned announcement. Your mother's looking at serious time, the detective said finally. Both of them are. The amount of money involved. We're talking federal charges. Jasper was waiting outside the interview room. The board's called an emergency meeting. They want you both there. Now? Annabelle checked her phone. It's almost midnight. Damage control doesn't sleep. The foundation's offices were eerily quiet as we rode the elevator to the boardroom. Sarah met us at the door, her eyes red from crying. They've been in there for hours, she whispered, trying to save what's left. Inside, the board members looked shell-shocked. The chairman, an elderly man who'd known our father, spoke first. Ladies, please sit down. He shuffled some papers. We've spent the evening reviewing the extent of the situation. The foundation's reputation is salvageable, I interrupted, if we act fast and with complete transparency. The press is calling it the legacy scandal, another board member said. Our donors are fleeing. Annabelle straightened in her chair. Then let me talk to them. I've been the face of this foundation for years. Let me tell them the truth, that we discovered the corruption and chose to expose it ourselves. It's not that simple. Actually, it is. I pulled out my laptop. I've drafted a complete restructuring plan, new oversight measures, transparent accounting, direct links between donors and the research they fund. The board members exchanged looks. We need new leadership, the chairman said slowly. Someone who understands both the scientific and public aspects of our mission. I felt Annabelle squeeze my hand under the table. We'd like to offer you both positions, he continued. Reagan as Executive Director of Research, Annabelle as Director of Public Relations and Donor Relations. Together? Annabelle asked. Together. Your actions, while shocking, showed integrity, something this foundation desperately needs to rebuild. As we left the building hours later, the sky was starting to lighten. Reporters swarmed us immediately. Miss Horton, how does it feel to expose your own mother's corruption? What's next for the foundation? Annabelle stepped forward, every inch the polished spokesperson. The foundation is entering a new era of transparency and genuine charitable work. My sister and I— Look! Someone shouted. Through the media crowd, we saw Trevor being led out of the federal building in handcuffs. His expensive suit was rumpled, his face ashen. Miss Sanderson, do you have any comment about your ex-fiancé's arrest? Annabelle's composure cracked slightly. I stepped up beside her. The foundation's future isn't about the past, I said firmly. It's about the researchers working to save lives, the patients waiting for breakthroughs, and the donors who genuinely want to help. That's the only story that matters now. Jasper appeared with his car, offering escape from the media frenzy. As we drove away, Annabelle finally broke down. I loved him, she whispered, or thought I did. How did we not see who they really were? We saw what they wanted us to see, I replied, just like everyone else. The board meeting tomorrow. Today, Jasper corrected, glancing at the dawn breaking over the city. Today, Annabelle agreed. We start fixing everything they broke. I thought about Mother sitting in her cell, still believing she was right. About all the years she'd spent teaching us to maintain appearances while hiding ugly truths. We're not fixing their foundation, I said. We're building our own, the right way this time. The sun rose higher, painting the sky in shades of promise. Somewhere in the city, Mother's empire was crumbling. But from its ashes, something honest could finally grow. Guilty on all counts, the judge's voice echoed through the courtroom. Mother stood perfectly straight, her designer suit a stark contrast to the handcuffs at her wrists. She didn't look at us as they led her away. Trevor had already taken his plea deal, trading information for a lighter sentence. But Mother had insisted on fighting, convinced until the end that she could talk her way out of anything. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us again. This time I was ready. The verdict sends a clear message, I said into the forest of microphones. No one is above accountability, not even family. Miss Horton, The Foundation's new pediatric research initiative has already raised millions. Was this your response to your mother's crimes? Annabelle stepped forward. Every dollar stolen from sick children will be repaid threefold. That's our promise. Back at the Foundation, Sarah had arranged a staff meeting. The boardroom was packed. Researchers, administrators, grant coordinators, all waiting to hear what came next. The trial's over, I announced. Now we focus on what matters, the work. Dr. Reynolds' cancer study needs additional funding, someone called out. Approved, Annabelle said, checking her tablet, along with the stem cell research team and the rare disease initiative. But the budget is solid, I assured them. Every donation is now tracked in real time on our public database. Donors can see exactly where their money goes, down to the last cent. After the meeting, Jasper found me in my office. You haven't opened it yet. He nodded at the envelope on my desk. Mother's last attempt to communicate before sentencing. Nothing she says can change anything. Maybe not, but you might need to hear it anyway. I picked up the letter, Mother's precise handwriting stark against the prison stationery. Reagan, you think you've won? Perhaps you have, but everything I did was to secure our position, our influence. You'll understand someday when the weight of legacy bears down on you. Power requires sacrifice. Remember that. Mother. Annabelle appeared in the doorway as I crumpled the letter. Still trying to justify herself? Still trying to teach her lessons? I tossed the paper into the shredder. Speaking of which, the university called. They want us to give a guest lecture on ethical leadership. Us? Annabelle laughed. I'm not exactly professor material. No, you're better. You're living proof that people can choose integrity over advantage. The intercom buzzed. Sarah's voice carried through. The governor's here for the tour. We walked together through the Foundation's halls, now bright with transparency, both literal and figurative. Glass walls had replaced solid ones, letting sunlight and scrutiny reach every corner. The governor waited in the lobby, surrounded by aides. Impressive changes, he said, gesturing at the digital displays showing real-time grant allocations and research progress. Very modern. Would you like to meet some of our researchers? I offered. Dr. Reynolds is about to test a promising new treatment protocol. Actually, he cleared his throat, I was hoping to discuss the Foundation's political connections. Your mother had certain arrangements. Those arrangements died with the old regime, Annabelle cut in smoothly. But we'd love to show you how your state's medical research grants are advancing critical studies. I hid my smile. Mother had taught us well about handling powerful people, just not the way she'd intended. Later, in the lab, Jasper showed us the latest results from the pediatric trials. This could change everything, he said, pointing to the data. With the new funding, we might have a breakthrough within months. Mother would have buried this, I realized. It didn't fit her profit model. Mother isn't here, Annabelle said firmly. We are, and we're doing it right. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Reporter from Times requesting interview. Says it's about Mother's old network starting new foundation across state. I showed the message to Annabelle. Ready to fight another battle? Always, she grinned. But first, dinner? I'm starving. As we left the building, I caught our reflection in the glass doors. Two sisters, no longer in anyone's shadow. The Foundation's new logo shone above us. Truth heals. You know what Mother never understood? Annabelle said as we walked to the car. Real power isn't about control. It's about choice. And we choose to help people, I finished. The city lights sparkled around us, each one representing someone whose life our work might touch. Mother's legacy had been built on lies, but ours would be built on something stronger, truth, trust, and the courage to stand up for both. So, Jasper called from behind us, about that Times reporter. I exchanged looks with Annabelle. We both smiled. Another battle, another day. But this time we were fighting for something real, and that made all the difference.